brother. Mainstream media. Government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Same sad story, different day. The 26th day of January 2016 on this Tuesday global broadcast, an active shooter reported at San Diego's Naval Medical Center that is closed to the general public and is a gun-free zone like all U.S. military bases. They only have the local security police force or the MP force at these different facilities, and many of them don't even have basic security at all, but a couple police officers in squad cars. The Naval Medical Center, possible active shooter being reported by San Diego 7. That's what they were saying about 10 minutes ago. Now they're saying it is an active shooter. We hope this is a false alarm. But if it is an active shooter, will it be another jihadi? And if the name comes out to be a Middle Eastern or Arabic name, will the media cover that up for a few days? Like they did in San Bernardino or like they did at Fort Hood for 4 years, saying it wasn't a jihad attack, even though he was directed by al-Qaeda and the government knew 2 years before what Major Hassan was planning? Incredible. They bring these people in, they attack, and then when they attack, we have to give up our rights. I'm not saying this is an Islamic attack, but the last few big shootings have been. Let's hope it's not an attack, period, but we are tracking it as it unfolds. You can also go to their Facebook page of the Navy Medical Center, and they say it is an active shooter. Me and Biggs just did a live Facebook mentions on that. We can have Biggs come in the control room. He can punch it up for you. They say hide, shelter in place, run, or fight, which is unprecedented because at bases and at government buildings and at colleges, they advise people to actually lay down and act like you're dead or in a fetal position, or if you're being raped, urinate on someone or vomit on them. Look, I'm not joking. That's what they say. I have an idea. If there's an active shooter here, I just pull a gun out and defend myself. But see, I live in Texas. So we're going to be following that as it unfolds, ladies and gentlemen. We can also punch up behind me and analyze it. CNN's live feed from helicopters outside the base. It is controlled airspace, so they're flying around the edge of the base, shooting footage into what is happening there. Naval Med Center in San Diego reports active shooter. And this is, again, just the ongoing thing, like the shooter at the Naval Yard and these gun-free zones where this happens and where we see this unfolding. So InfoWars here covering what's happening and analyzing and documenting and tracking the controlled government finance. CNN gets a lot of government financing and funding and support, just like MSNBC, funding what our taxpayer dollars are going to be saying about the Second Amendment. And they're getting feeds there at CNN from the Total Traffic and Weather Network. Again, we're a radio show, but we're also a TV show so that we can document in live time for those that wish to add another layer of research and documentation to their daily analysis of world events as they unfold. Now, when we come back, we're going to kick off the big transmission that we've got lined up for you. Max Keiser is at the Kremlin, literally, with a Skype feed, joining us on world events. I'm having him back on, the former CIA field commander, Robert David Steele, in election 2016, and to take your phone calls and the bombshell info he talked about where he admitted in the CIA he carried out a false flag operation under orders himself. So we'll look at false flag terror attacks. There's different types of false flags. There's wind-up toys, there's provocateur events, there's opening the door, there's protecting terrorists, or there's synthetic terror where you completely manufacture the whole deal. The media dumbs down false flags and just says that we say nothing happened, that no one died at Sandy Hook or there were no hijackers on 9/11. No, we just simply look at who stands to gain, who takes our liberties after the attacks, and who ordered stand-downs on 9/11. Bare minimum criminal elements of the government ordered to stand down for Saudi Arabia, and that's in the 28 pages, and congressmen and senators are on record who've seen the classified document. So, yes, 9/11 is an inside job. We win. We're proven right. We're validated. We're vindicated.
Join us this Thursday, January 28th, as Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News bring you another installment of Political Science Theater 3K.
If you're going to have freedom of speech, like any free market, you do not use the government to shut down portions of it.
Join David Knight, Jakari Jackson, Leanne McAdoo, and the rest of the crew as we crash through the lies and propaganda in real time.
When we see the 8-year-old Boy Scout who can't fly a plane because he has the same name as some suspected terrorist, when he turns 16, he's not going to be able to get a driver's license. He's not going to be able to get a job. He's not going to be able to get a college loan.
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Central on the Infowars Nightly News. You can find free streams at Infowars.com/show and the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Join me along with the rest of the Infowars crew for the latest Republican presidential national debate.
Infowars.com, there's a war on for your mind.
A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigerex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Super Male Vitality is InfoWarsLife.com's #1 selling product for a good reason. It works. Go to InfoWarsLife.com today and read the testimonials for yourself. There are thousands of them with an average voting score at an unprecedented 4.8. It is concentrated herbs and natural organic compounds known to energize the body's natural processes that are blocked by estrogen mimickers and other toxic elements in the food chain. Super Male Vitality from InfoWarsLife.com has sold out multiple times in the last 3 months. To fix that problem, we have now produced the biggest and most concentrated, high-quality batch of Super Male Vitality in the product's history. Our new ultra-strength formula is even stronger. Check out the third-party reviews and informational videos at InfoWarsLife.com. Now it's time to get your body in balance and fight back. I'm Alex Jones for Super Male Vitality and InfoWarsLife.com, and I salute you, our supporters.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
I want you, I need you, I want you to be my tonight. You need me, you tease me, use you up and throw you away. You fire, taking me higher, don't blow me, don't let me down. You need me now, I'll teach you how. Come on, let's go all the way.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we've got another active shooter reported at Naval Medical Center in San Diego, California. Another gun-free zone. So incredibly convenient that all of this is happening. Joe, come on up here on the platform. We're also going to have Joe in there in the control room as this unfolds. Joe Biggs is tracking all the latest information. We're monitoring Fox. We're monitoring CNN. We're monitoring local news. But most importantly, we're monitoring the Facebook of the Naval Medical Center that has more info than Fox and CNN that we've been watching, that they are saying there's an active shooter. Others are questioning that. And they are saying that they're not just saying shelter in place and put your head between your legs and kiss your butt goodbye. They're saying run, shelter in place, or fight. And that is officially on their Facebook. That needs to be screenshot and put on the news. We did a Facebook mentions 2 minutes before we were live and showed their official Facebook where they're updating people right now. But again, it's a victim disarmament zone, as usual. This just continues on and on and on. That people target these sites. Will it be a jihadist? Will it be a false alarm? Will it be somebody mad about getting bad medical treatment? Will it be a reason to demonize veterans more? I mean, a lot is happening. There it is on screen. And again, I just kind of called Joe in here right before we went live. I'm going to send him in the control room where we've got the lights actually set up for him to be. Again, this is Alex Jones. We're broadcasting worldwide. It is January 26th on this Tuesday, worldwide broadcast. We have a bunch of big guests coming up today. Huge news across the board. We're going to be breaking down. Task force urges doctors to screen all adults for depression and then take your guns. And they're just going to say you have depression and widen it. And you're not going to know when they ask, are you down? Do you have anxiety? Are you upset? They ask you about 10 questions. If you answer 3 of them yes, they take your guns. That is Associated Press. Okay? They're coming. I mean, this is really happening. Now, continuing here, is everything good with the audio? Because I'm having some audio ups and downs right now. Okay, so everything's good? All right. Okay, now continuing here, folks, we're going to get into economic activity is slowing down much faster than the experts anticipated. Swedish police warn Stockholm main train station is now overrun by migrant teen gangs, stealing and groping girls, robbing en masse. Democratic debate totally staged. CNN has audience practice applause, pre-submitted questions, simply incredible. We have another story up at drudgereport.com where one of Bill Clinton's victims that Clinton basically has targeted before is saying that she fears for her life and that if they say that she commits suicide, that the Clintons have killed her. So we're going to get to that as well. And then, I didn't know this happened last Friday. No one has covered it. And then there it was at Infowars.com. Adon Salazar did a report on it last night. No one else that I know of has covered this, which is scary. I wish others had. It's not like, oh, good, we broke it, 4 days after it came out. He's on the floor on C-SPAN and warns of total martial law in the legislation that I called martial law last Friday. That's what it does. And it just got no attention. Now a U.S. senator gets up and talks about declaration of international martial law, which is a quote. That's my quote because that's what it does. Just 360 war anytime Congress signs over its authority. Ron Paul says it makes the Iraq War Powers Authorization the widest ever, look like a walk in the park, close quote. So a lot of crazy stuff is happening right now. But let's go to Joe Biggs, who is in there monitoring the situation at the Naval Medical Center in San Diego, California, another victim disarmament zone, just like with Major Hassan in Fort Hood not being called terrorism and the people not being able to be armed, just like San Bernardino not being called terrorism and the cover-up and, of course, people not being able to be armed. We hope that this is no loss of life. We don't know yet. Joe Biggs, give us the latest.
Thank you, Alex. Now, what we do know, this is a place for returning veterans. It has a large PTSD clinic inside there, and they're urging those inside to run, hide, or fight, which is very unusual compared to what we've heard before. A family member of one person inside said that they weren't even sure if it was a drill or really an active shooter scenario. Now, there are reports of 3 shots fired near Building 26. No reports of injuries at this time. San Diego schools have now been on lockdown that are near that facility. And at this point in time, there have been no sightings of a shooter.
All right. Again, Joe Biggs is going to be tracking this, and every 10, 15 minutes popping in, or even sooner. He'll just break in, Joe, anytime there is a new development and just continue to update us along with the rest of the great crew. But let me just ask you to speculate. And again, when we speculate, we're not reporting this. We're just speculating. Most of the latest mass shooting attacks have been jihadist related. This may be PTSD. It may be a drill. A lot of times now they have drills and then scare people for a few hours before they admit it's a drill, or they have a backfire outside the Capitol in a parking garage and evacuate it for 5 hours and create total hysteria. It could be that as well. Statistically, though, I would say it could be a jihad attack. I'm not saying it is, but that's the most common thing we're facing right now, especially at government buildings and government facilities. And these medical facilities aren't as well protected as, obviously, combat readiness bases and are more easy to infiltrate. Joe Biggs?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, there's also some possibility it could be another Nidal Hasan, another guy that's been inside the military who's just kind of been waiting quietly and then all of a sudden decides to basically be activated and do something. Or it could be a legitimate case of PTSD, a regular soldier coming back and something happened, a dispute between himself and someone else. Or we could have another San Bernardino. So we'll be sitting here bringing updates as they happen here at the InfoWars studio.
All right, Joe Biggs, thank you so much. Now, folks, getting back into the news, we're going to play a video. Have we pulled in the video yet? Because I forgot to tell you guys till right before showtime. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off when the mass shooting news came in 5 minutes before showtime. Senator, or not mass shooting, active shooting that we hope isn't a mass shooting. Video, Senator warns that the military authorization use of force bill is a declaration of international martial law, close quote. The resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution, close quote. Do we have that yet? Good. We're going to be getting to that here in just a few minutes. That is a big, big deal. Because it's not just Alex Jones saying it last Friday or Ron Paul saying it yesterday in his article he wrote about it. Now it's a U.S. senator warning people that this is an unprecedented transference of power. I mean, you read the resolution they've been trying to sneak through and ram through, and even Senator John Cornyn, who's the whip in the Senate, under the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, said, I didn't know about this. Are you kidding? When a reporter asked him about it on Friday. There it is. Congress is writing the president a blank check for war. The legislation makes the unconstitutional Iraq war authorization of 2002 look like a walk in the park. When we come back from break, we are going to play the video from the article that went up on Infowars.com last night. I'm going to have this article reposted to the top tile at Infowars.com. I'm going to, again, repost this to the top of Infowars.com, and we're going to put it on Facebook, Twitter, you name it. Now notice that you see us breaking down this information. And notice that you finally see it coming out in government, agreeing with the exact words that I used, worldwide martial law. Because that's what the bill is. But they just hope to put these incredible things out, have them announce it like it's an ISIS, authorization of force against ISIS. And it says that in there, plus anywhere else in the world, anytime, and for civil emergencies, economic, whatever. That's why it's unprecedented. Now, continuing, folks, I have the article right here in my hand. It's up on Infowars.com. Video, Senator warns that the authorization to use military force bill is a declaration of international martial law. That's not Alex Jones saying that. This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution, close quote. Adon Salazar, January 26th. And again, this was up on Infowars.com last night as well in another article. We need to get this information out. Last night I was doing research at about 10 o'clock, and I saw the article on InfoWars, and I was like, huh? Just simply amazing to see things like this out in the open, and that he said this last week, and it got no attention. And I thank the listeners that sent us this tip. Because it did get picked up by grassroots folks out there. I mean, imagine on C-SPAN talking about worldwide martial law, giving the president unlimited military power into the next president as well. Aren't the Democrats worried about that? I mean, where is our common sense? But you see, this is the season of the power grab. This is the season of just over-the-top, crazy town garbage. We're going to get into task force urges doctors to screen all adults for depression and then take your guns. Grand jury indicts Planned Parenthood filmmakers. Unbelievable. The staged CNN Democrat debate. We've got clips of that. The radical Islamicists are going even crazier in Europe. We've got new developments there. We've got big guests coming on today. Please stay with us.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug out bag and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
Shower filters. We're introducing the best yet. The brand new ProPure ProMax high-performance shower filter. It removes and reduces over 200 contaminants while preserving a strong, powerful flow. This new 4-stage filtration process helps protect the largest organ in your body, your skin, from the unhealthy contaminants in the water. You can find more details on this amazing new filter and free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order your ProMax shower filter from ProPure today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Hi, this is Walt Augustinowicz. I'm the founder and CEO of ID Stronghold. By now you've heard our commercials about wallets that protect you from electronic pickpocketing. 10 years ago, I created a way to protect my own cards from prying eyes after government officials started talking about issuing a national ID card with a built-in radio chip called RFID. I felt having to broadcast my personal information was an invasion of privacy. Soon after, it was also announced that credit cards, debit cards, U.S. passports, hotel room keys, and even transit passes would all soon incorporate RFID. It was then I formed ID Stronghold to share my inventions in blocking RFID signals with the world. There are a lot of misconceptions out there today about RFID. I encourage everyone to get informed and get protected. Please go to idstronghold.com and get the facts and the wallets, sleeves, or badge holders you need to protect your personal financial data. You'll be pleasantly surprised that through our direct sales model, you won't pay more than other comparable unprotected wallets. It is as though the protection is free. Visit idstronghold.com today.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Yes, we've been trotting on the wine press much too long.
There is an active shooter reported at the San Diego Naval Medical Center. And we said earlier, will there be a bunch of drills before this? Will this be a drill coinciding with it? Because so many times they announce a real shooting and later we learn it's a drill, but it has the same effect of people thinking mass shootings are up. We are confirming his military ID right now. We're not going to show that on air, but we don't just do what mainstream news does. They just open the phones up. We've confirmed he's in San Diego. but we are confirming he's going to send us his military ID as we speak. And he's on standby on the phone right now. He got through via email to our news director, Rob Dube. And as soon as we confirm his identity, not for public display, but to add more credibility, we're going to have him on air. Active shooter at Naval Medical Center in San Diego. I am active duty Navy E6 stationed at NBSD, next door, basically. We recently had loads of active shooter drills, and now the real. Call me for anything you need. And so Dude's been talking to him, so is Nico. And they have, last week, drills at the naval base, drills at the medical center of an active shooter, just like they kept having drill after drill after drill every month at San Bernardino. And then you have these people with bombs and all the rest of it, and they won't call them jihadis. Are they running the drill so that they can then control the situation with a hopped-up, wind-up toy? Somebody that they're directing in to do this? I mean, look, we know they run false flags. David Steele, Robert David Steele's coming on, who ran field operations for the CIA in the Middle East. He was a former Marine, and they hired him to run operations in the field all over the Middle East. And he ran false flags against our enemies to make them look bad. Now, he didn't kill people. But Bobby Kennedy, it was declassified a decade ago, even on Frontline, went to his brother and said, let's bomb some of our South American embassies and actually kill people to be able to take out the communists. So the Kennedys weren't the complete and total absolute angels that everyone said they were. But the point is, they were involved or wanted to be involved in false flags. And, of course, JFK said no to that, but Bobby wanted to do it. And so this is just something that's been done for a long time. And the British and the French and the Spanish would do it. They'd go to one of their little coastal towns that was only, a few dozen people, little hamlet, little one dock and a few houses, and just kill everybody. And leave enemy weapons, enemy swords. They'd even get enemy cannons and fire them into a building so they could have forensics later and say, yeah, we found a Spanish or we found a Dutch cannonball. And then, this witness who happened to survive is one of their people they plant, saw that it was the French. I mean, that's a false flag, folks. A false flag's also pull up with somebody else's flag like you're friendly and attack them. So there's lots of different types of false flags, but it is taught in Army manuals, in special operations, in captain and above. WikiLeaks released this 4 or 5 years ago. You can look it up on how to stage false flags. And it just mentions you're going to take this false flag course now. And I'm just going to leave it at that point. But I've talked to a lot of military folks, and this is something that's done. It's what other governments do. It's very nasty. It's very bad. Our founders did not engage in this. In fact, George Washington told his military, we don't rape, we don't steal, we're polite, we don't engage in atrocities, we treat enemy captured soldiers well, and we don't pull dirty tricks. Is what they called false flags in that day. You can read the writings of Washington saying, we don't do dirty jobs and dirty tricks. We lose the moral high ground. We're not going to do it. And when he died, the British ships on U.S. harbors lowered their flags to half-mast, and the same thing happened in England because he was honorable. That's what America was born out of. It's what the Army was born out of, and it's unrecognizable today in the leadership that thinks false flags are acceptable. The reason you don't see false flags getting pulled as much is because people don't buy it. We said it was a false flag, as we could look at the mortars and tell they were Saudi Arabian. And indeed, it came out months later. 2 chemical attacks in Syria blamed on Assad were Saudi Arabian. Al-Qaeda launched chemical attacks to go over Obama's red line. On the 1-year anniversary, he says, you use chemical weapons, I'll attack you. And then on the 1-year anniversary, they launched chemical attacks on pro-Assad forces and then blame Assad. And it all came out, it was a false flag, folks. Mainstream news 6 months later said, okay, and the UN said, okay, it was really Al-Qaeda. So we're not saying this is a false flag, but if you've got the usual suspects and Obama and them wanting to come after our guns, who knows what will happen. Who knows what will happen? We'll be back and we'll see if we've got the credentials on our person on the ground.
We're on the march. The Empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
The water supply in Flint, Michigan is so unsafe that the state attorney general warned parents to keep children far from it, including a warning against bathing, reports Fox News. I would certainly not bathe a newborn or infant in Flint water, reported the AG at a news conference. He announced that a former prosecutor and a retired head of Detroit FBI would play key roles in an independent investigation into the lead-tainted water. The cash-strapped city switched from Detroit's municipal water system and began drawing from the Flint River in 2014. Residents have been urged to use bottled water and put filters on their faucets. City servants have stated that flushing all the contaminants out of the water would take time, and replacing the damaged pipes would cost as much as $1.5 billion, a price tag they say they can't afford. You can find more reports on Infowars.com. Go to the Alex Jones channel on YouTube to see our reports from Flint.
Make the choice for health and vitality. Get InfoWars Life Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. Although there are many vitamin D3 supplements on the market, most are vitamin D2, which is inferior to vitamin D3. This need prompted our research journey to create the most powerful vitamin D3 product on the market. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Winter Sun Vitamin D3 supports the immune system, organ health, bone health, nervous system support. Vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Now is the time to secure your high-quality supply of vitamin D3. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
Hey everyone, pharmacist Ben Fuchs here, host of The Bright Side, and as many of you know, I'm on a mission to help Americans get and stay healthy. You've all heard the shocking statistics. Despite spending trillions of dollars in healthcare, nearly $10,000 per man, woman, and child in this country, obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and autoimmune illnesses are rampant. 1 out of 3 or 4 people is dealing with some kind of health challenge, and everyone knows at least one person with a degenerative disease. If you are dealing with a health challenge, or if you're healthy and want to maintain your vigor and longevity, and you're looking for a convenient, easy way to incorporate nutritional raw materials into your day-to-day lives to guarantee that your body is getting the fundamental nutrients, the 90 essential vitamins, minerals, fats, and amino acids it needs to do its healing work, you need to check out InfoWarsTeam.com. Give your body the gift of good nutrition. Head over to InfoWarsTeam.com. Your body will be very grateful.
On the web at InfoWarsTeam.com. That's InfoWarsTeam.com.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones.
Coming up, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to play the video. The article's on Infowars.com. Senator warns authorization to use military force bill is, quote, declaration of international martial law. See it for yourself at Infowars.com. The resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution. Now, there is supposedly an active shooter drill that went on last week and then went on this week, and we have gotten the identity of Josh, active duty Naval E6. He sent us his ID card. We geolocated where he's at. He is in San Diego. Mainstream media will just put callers on air claiming things. We actually are vetting this. Active shooter, UMCSD tells personnel to run or hide or fight. That's also unprecedented, so that's good news. But it's another victim disarmament zone where this is happening. We're getting local radio chatter that this could be what we said earlier, a backfire car, whatever, that there was a weight facility, someone dropped weights, and then someone freaked out and thought it was a PTSD soldier. We see this all the time. Backfires, and they evacuate the Capitol for 5-6 hours, hysteria. I mean, this is the wicked fleeing when none pursue. We hope that's what it is. It could be a real shooter. Could be somebody committing suicide. Could be a backfire. But we're now 40, 50 minutes, 45 minutes into this first breaking, and we still don't know what's going on. So we've seen this many times where it isn't a real shooter, and then it becomes this hysteria, or somebody shoots off fireworks at a college campus and everybody, you know, is shut down for half a day. Joe Biggs, reporting for Infowars.com from the news studios. What do we know?
Well, at this point in time, we were just told that it could be possibly weights dropped. There is a gym inside of Building 26, but also inside of Building 26 is the hospital's intake center and dormitories for the wounded warriors that come in from combat. Now, there is a children's center there, too, as well, that opens at 5:30 a.m., so there's about more than 200 children there on site. The police are still actively going from room to room, trying to clear out that facility to possibly filter out the fact whether or not it is an active shooter. Now, at 8:30 a.m., 2 California Highway patrolmen were seen entering the facility at an emergency room entrance. At 8:45 a.m., SWAT arrived and stormed the building. Police have set up perimeters around local schools, one at the San Diego City College nearby. There are more than 6,500 personnel at this medical center right now, and police, like I said, are currently going room to room trying to find out if this is possibly a misunderstanding or actually an active shooter. Now, this is happening at the Naval Medical Center in San Diego, and this is something that we're going to continue to monitor and find out what goes on throughout the day.
All right, Joe Biggs, absolutely good news that it may be and is pointing towards a bunch of hysteria. That's not good that we're such a fearful nation conditioned to be afraid of active shooters when they're so incredibly rare amongst the 330 million citizens and 40 million illegals. But it just shows how we've been conditioned, and hopefully this will be a learning experience for people if it does turn out to be nothing but more fear. Thank you, Joe. Let's continue to track this. Now, again, coming up in a few minutes, we're going to be playing the video from the article that is up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com dealing with the senator coming out and saying that the military authorization of force is, quote, international martial law. That is in the 6-minute video. We're going to be going to that. I want to go to Josh, active duty Naval E6, who sent us his ID. We're not giving you his last name, obviously, because in this country there's repercussions for free speech. But he's saying that there were just a bunch of drills there in the last week, and that this is contributing to the hysteria. Also, let me add, if it is a real shooter, they had an ABC 2020 special more than 16 years ago that as soon as they brought death education into high schools, it more than tripled on average the amount of suicides of young people. I mean, you go have a whole week-long course on suicide and how people do it and why they do it and how you tie the rope around your neck and how you hang it on the, you know, on the coat rack. I mean, it's crazy. Of course that then happens. The DARE program makes kids use drugs. It's a fact. It's called copycat. And you introduce constant mass shooting drills every month at the San Bernardino Health Department facility. You are going to get crazy behavior. You're going to have people go, oh, that's something I'm going to do. Thank God, despite they hyped this so much, mass shootings are flat. Overall, death by guns with criminals using them is down between 51 and 60+%, depending on which Justice Department number you look on. If you don't believe me, we run those numbers all the time. Just type in gun crime down, but public has perception it's up, or Justice Department numbers, crime down using guns over 50%. And you will get the admissions. They don't like to advertise it, but you will find mainstream news. Even Bloomberg has had to report that. Okay, we can run some of those graphics here in the background. Related story, gun crime has plunged, but Americans think it's up. Study says, LA Times. Boom, see? All right, let's go to Josh, active duty, Naval E6. It's so great that anytime there's an event, wildfires, shootings, floods, you name it, political events, we have listeners in every corner of the world. So, Josh, thanks for taking the initiative to reach out to us, sir.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me on your show.
Well, go ahead and tell us the same things you told our reporters.
All right. I've got a little bit of information here. I'm currently stationed nearby, but I do have some friends that are on the base currently. We'll start off with, we've been having active shooter drills pretty frequently for the last month and a half, and I know that Naval Medical Base San Diego just had one last week, and we're supposed to have a pretty diverse amount of drills, fire drills, bombing drills, but we've been dominated by active shooter drills easily for the last couple months. And aside from that, we've been in constant contact with people that are at the hospital right now. We have a couple people saying they have heard gunshots, so it could be real. I'm still hoping that it's not, but
or it could be firecrackers. It could be a backfire. Yeah. I mean, the capital of the U.S. has been evacuated repeatedly for backfires.
Mm-hmm. The only problem, I think Joe Biggs did say, that is where we house our PTSD military members. So there is that chance, but I'm still hoping that it's just hysteria.
What do you think about the unprecedented move of the base commander putting out on Twitter that go ahead and fight? I mean, I love that. That's like the beginning of reality coming back into the world.
Oh, I love it too. I mean, the way the story was broke was on the hospital webpage, Facebook, and it said run, hide, or fight, and I just wish they would erase the run and hide part. But yeah.
Well, it comes down to this, that whoever, whoever, I'm sure it's the commander or the adjunct that did that, will probably be reprimanded, because they tell people get in the fetal position at these military bases. You know, they reprimanded some of the folks at the Army, Navy, Marine Corps Center that actually fired back at the shooter and finally stopped him. I mean, this is crazy.
I remember. It's insane. I mean, I'm pretty sure, last time I checked, we're in the military, we're all trained to use firearms. But again, the hospital is a gun-free zone. Who knew? Go figures. But I don't know. I hope we start trending towards a more realistic approach instead of this cowardly approach we've been doing for a while now.
What do you make of San Bernardino, where two different white people, I say that because it could have been with all this Black Lives Matter stuff, some racist black person with an agenda, but two white people, it turned out, saying, I saw blonde-haired, blue-eyed guys in tactical gear, basically, running around shooting people. And then they had drills that week and the week before. I mean, they were having weekly drills by the end.
I mean, I believe it. Like, whenever I see any of these events, I try and catalog everything that happens immediately, because once they get their story straight and what the mainstream media wants to tell us, probably not going to be true. So you have to look back at what the eyewitness is and what the actual initial reports were to try and piece the truth together.
Well, a lot of the public, you're absolutely right, is ignorant about firearms too, and it could have been the police exchanging gunfire with them as they ran to their car. Then the cops, in case they shoot somebody or don't know where their bullets were going, aren't going to admit they were there until they get told what to do, because they don't want to get basically burned. That's also part of it. But if that's the case, they need to say what happened, because, look, there are jihadis coming into this country. These people did get sent to the Middle East. The FBI did try to stop them, and that doesn't usually fit the M.O. Of a false flag, to have people that the FBI is already investigating and the FBI tries to stop them and then they're ordered not to by the Justice Department. So I still think the jury's open on that. Anything else you'd like to add, Josh?
Not right now. I mean, we're still getting information as it comes in. I'm sure we'll hear more soon, since SWAT should be pretty much done clearing up the building. But if I get anything pertinent, I'll be sure to pass it along.
Well, just because you are stationed near there and go there, obviously, for care and things, we want to check in with you later in the show or tonight in the aftermath once we learn exactly what happened. They may keep this going for, 5, 6, 7 hours. Sometimes they do at colleges where everybody thinks a mass shooting's happening, and half the time it's not. But, as bad as that is, we'll still hope that nobody has been hurt. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
Well, thank you. God bless.
All right, we're going to stay in contact with Josh. And again, great job to my crew actually getting, a hold of him when he emailed, getting his credentials, double-checking him, and then putting him on air. That's something CNN and Fox don't do. They would just put him on air. We don't just do that. When we are having someone as a witness, we go the extra mile. And, I mean, I don't think that's an extra mile, especially today with how the Internet is. Somebody can send their info so quickly, and obviously we don't put that out. In fact, when he's done being on the show, delete that email, get it out of our system. I don't want to have his personal info after that's there. That's also what we do in protocol with folks' info. We delete stuff once it's come in and once we've used it. Still, the government, if it wants it, might be able to reverse engineer it and get it from somewhere else, but that's generally not how it works. So that's the type of stuff we do to make sure that, especially if we use your whistleblowing, it's printed off, it's filed, the email is destroyed, And then if it's not pertinent to an investigation we're doing, it is shredded. And sometimes it is burned. I routinely take things home. In fact, I burned something 2 nights ago in the fireplace or the fire pit over at my parents'. I just, it's nothing particularly secret or, that secret. I just don't want to have it around. I burned it. So that's what we do. Okay, continuing here, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the big news that I've been hyperventilating about. Video, Senator warns AUMF, that's Authorization to Use Military Force Bill, is declaration of international martial law. This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution. Adon Salazar, red linked on Infowars.com. And there was another article last night up there that just had it linked in it. That's why I was saying I saw this last night. It was another article. So what's incredible is it was a Kurt Nimmo article. I actually had it first last night. And it doesn't matter who had it first. The point is that I was hyperventilating over the fact that this wasn't a bigger deal. And thank God Kurt's working so hard and wrote a story about it. Kurt, next time, call me at night when something's this big. Everybody, see, we're close to this tyranny that a lot of times I even see some horrible, incredible story that's got to get out, and I'm just kind of don't report on it because I'm so burnt out seeing all this evil, and then it never even gets reported. It'll just be some blurb in an article that's bombshell sensational, and then I don't get somebody to write an article about it, or you don't call up and say, why didn't you cover it? And then Drudge doesn't link to it. We don't put it on Facebook, and it doesn't change history. I mean, it's that, I think I'm having an anxiety attack right now. I mean, I was flipping out during breaks earlier, and I mean, not in a bad way, but just literally hyperventilating because that's a normal response to a senator on the floor talking about martial law, and no one cares. And see, if they can do this, I'm just having bone-shaking chills right now. That's a normal response, folks. But people aren't having these responses. That's why we're in so much trouble. They're going to take everybody's pension funds. They're going to rob the stock market. They're going to take your bank accounts. They're getting it all lined up if they get away with it. It's like getting a call from your neighbor saying, hey, there's a guy with a gun in your shed. And you get that adrenaline rush and that chill. Or, you get that call and they say, hey, your sister's in the hospital. That's the feeling I have because our country is, if we just had the normal response to get freaked out, we'd get upset, we'd have a chain reaction, we'd take action. But people instead get upset about the NFL. And I'm not against the NFL, but they've taken your normal primitive response to a threat. The threat isn't when your team loses a 2-point conversion. The threat is when foreign evil multinationals run by George Soros and others, worse than a James Bond villain, are actually taking us over and want to politically persecute the middle class and are trying to start race wars. I mean, whoa, people. I mean, and see what's happening to me right now is I'm owning this right now, realizing how much I've gotten to where I'm just comfortable with it. I've even gotten comfortable with my own death or my own imprisonment. That's not good. People say we need to erase fear with a pill. No, I need fear, actually. I need to get motivated. I need to get animated. Let's go to the clip. A new bill making its way through Congress contains dangerous and unprecedented language that could be considered a declaration of international martial law, U.S. Senator warned last week, and no one covered it. The resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution. Let's be clear about that. Democrat Senator Chris Murphy said on the Senate floor last week in regards to SJ Res 29, a bill purporting to give the sitting U.S. president the power to declare war on ISIS, but that it says, or anyone else, anywhere else, for any reason, in perpetuity forever. Ron Paul says it's the worst war declaration ever. Now you know what, I'm going to go to break and come back with the clip. I want to play the whole thing, and I went too far. Let me just briefly, because I do this every day and don't even plug in the first hour. That's probably our most listened to hour. And then we don't get the finances to fund this operation. We fund ourselves with game-changing, cutting-edge, hardcore nutraceuticals that are absolute must-haves, like X2, and it's so popular A lot of folks asked us to extend the special till they got paid or whatever. We just had tons of emails. It does end today because new specials start tomorrow. X2, 15% off. The already discounted rate from retail. And Super Male Vitality, already discounted from retail. Another discount on top of that. Okay? InfoWars, Life.com or 888-253-3139. Free shipping on every order above $50 now as well. Free shipping on the shower filters as well. The 4-stage filter for your shower. I mean, it's a no-brainer default. Break your conditioning. I don't care where you get one, but these are the best, lowest price. We've done the research. We'd carry 100 models if they had 100 great models. But that's our goal, to have the biggest selection, whether it be non-GMO seeds or T-shirts or whatever the case is. This is the best shower filter, 4-stage, the fastest flowing you're going to find. And if you don't put it in your house for you and your family, and also it gives us some money, you're nuts. I mean, they're jacking the water, baby. And if you think just filtering the tap is enough, you're letting the enemy win. So fund us and help your family win-win in this war. We're fighting, and we need the funds. So go to InfoWarsStore.com and blow that shopping cart up with so many orders it melts down, and I'll take that money and I'll fire hose it in the enemy's face and I'll sack them.
Are you prepared to bug out? Infidel Body Armor and an Army Ranger have produced a high-speed DVD and book to show you how to drive in combat, patrol, and how to survive in combat. Skills you'll need when it hits the fan. Go to DrivenDVD.com. DrivenDVD.com.
Advertising your business with GCN is simple, effective, and more affordable than you might think. Visit advertise.gcnlive.com for more info. Take your business to the next level. That's advertise.gcnlive.com.
My dad was 59 when he collapsed from a heart attack late last year. Just this past August was when we spread his ashes on the St. Croix River. I loved my dad, but boy was he stubborn. He hadn't been to the doctor in over 25 years. His excuse? He simply couldn't afford it. He wasn't a rich man by any means. At less than $107 per month, LibertyOnCall.org would have been the perfect alternative for my father. Don't wait. Go to LibertyOnCall.org right now, for not just your sake, but for the sake of your loved ones. Again, that's LibertyOnCall.org.
Chronic inflammation is now known to block your ability to repair and compromises your immune system, making you more vulnerable to all diseases. Since poor diet, injuries, or stress are all contributing factors, many people suffer from inflammation. Your body's #1 means of neutralizing inflammation and the pain that it may be causing is glutathione. Glutathione is the body's #1 peptide to neutralize free radicals and thus stop inflammation.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm 44 years old. For 10 years, I had been suffering from chronic pain in my abdomen and groin that radiated down into my feet. After 3 weeks on One World Way, the pain in my feet reduced by 50%, and the overall pain in my body reduced significantly as well. I ran out of One World Way, and the pain returned. I got another container, and again, after 3 weeks, the pain reduced significantly throughout my body. I'd highly recommend One World Way to anyone dealing with chronic pain due to inflammation.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
Gone into old Alex Jones hyperventilating mode today because they're announcing what I knew they were going to do. Total force psychological profiling nationwide when you go to the doctor. That is so Soviet Union, it makes my head spin. I mean, it's beyond Soviet Union. They didn't even do that to everybody there. And then they're going to go after the guns. That's Associated Press. I mean, what Soros is up to. I cannot believe we're in the hands of such criminals. But then there's also good news. You know, they say that not just a character in the X-Files, the new X-Files based on Alex Jones, one of the big characters, the O'Malley character, but also the topics they cover are InfoWars topics. That's what Chris Carter said, and I watched it last night. It was about eugenics and human-animal chimeras, which is actually mainstream news now. But at least it's getting now covered in popular culture. But is that being done, not by Carter, but are they letting it go on air because then people will think that's the X-Files and not reality? That's what's crazy is what I watched last night is what they're doing. I don't know if the chimeras are psychic or can have magical powers, but, I mean, they're doing it. And there's MIT review right on screen. Human-animal chimeras are gestating on U.S. research farms. They're not growing the humanoids in other women. You know, Scully asked, was I an incubator for, you know, one of these hybrids? No, sweetheart, they use cows and pigs for that because they don't try to run off the base like the women do in the last X-Files. So, whatever. And I'm done talking about the X-Files. It was kind of fun at first and interesting, and then it gives me a headache because then I start, I just, you know what? I know Homeland Security showed up and threatened everybody with the martial law piece I did with Ventura, the serious piece that aired in the second season, and it never aired again and was erased off everybody's DVRs for a reason because it exposed the entire takeover plan. And if you watch that video that you can barely find because they take it off YouTube, you will know their plan. And of course, that was 3-4 years ago. Now you see it's happening. And I'm not at liberty because when you sign up with folks in journalism and things are off record, when things are off record, I can't tell you the stuff that went on. In fact, I just kind of started breaking confidence there, just telling you some of the things that happened. At a certain point, man, I just can't shut up anymore. Folks, you need to know how real this is, okay? I mean, it's real. If you were in my position and did what I did, you'd know. We're in trouble, people. We can't screw around anymore. Let's go to the senator, U.S. Senator, Democrat, saying martial law bill worldwide. Here it is.
Madam President, today I wanted to come down to the floor to speak very briefly about a resolution that the majority leader introduced, I believe, earlier today. This is an authorization for military force resolution that apparently purports to give the president legal authority to conduct military operations against ISIS. Before we break for the weekend, Madam President, I thought it was important to come to the floor to explain why, very briefly, to my colleagues, to explain what this resolution really is. This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the United States Constitution. Let's be clear about that. It is essentially a declaration of international martial law, a sweeping transfer of military power to the president that will allow him or her to send U.S. troops almost anywhere in the world for almost any reason with absolutely no limitations.
And the full 6-minute speech is on Infowars.com right now. We're just going to keep playing that clip today. The good news is at least it's coming out. But the bad news is he gave that speech last week. And there was no coverage until listeners sent it to us yesterday. I mean, that's scary, folks. That's why we're so important. And I don't like being that important.
To GCN.
I don't like it. It's dangerous.
GCN Live.
Second hour coming up. Secret 12, InfoWars Life's vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. InfoWars Life, Secret 12.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
By the way, I agree with Bill Maher on more and more issues, and he aired this piece on what's happening out at the Oregon takeover. They now have people in sumo wrestler outfits jumping around, people waving sex toys on TV. It is a total circus to discredit everybody. I think the Bundys are good people, but they're in above their heads, and I wanted to go to this Bill Maher piece. Here it is.
And finally, new rule. Someone needs to tell those wackadoodle militiamen who took over a federal building in the middle of nowhere in Oregon that to be a hero, you need something to be heroic about. These guys keep promising to occupy that building until, well, we're not sure. And they're not sure. Something about redneck lives matter. Just listen here to one of them, Patriot John Ritzheimer, explaining to his kids in a video
you know what?
he
Let's
posted
stop
from
it.
his truck.
I talk too long. I don't have time to get to it. And again, I don't like him calling people rednecks. I don't like him, you know, making fun of everybody in general. But then he gets into the evidence, actually in the piece that's up on Infowars.com. And then he points out how it's like the politically correct people screaming, ban Halloween, you know, I want the professor fired, and yelling and screaming. And he ties it all together with political correctness and just this victimology thing. What the BLM's doing is horrible. What's happening with land grabs is terrible. We go and cover it. We went and covered the Bundys. We've covered the Texas situation with the Red River. We're sending David Knight out to Utah to go cover very soon a bunch of land grabbing and state reps and people being harassed by the government and county commissioners being arrested for simply saying, hey, we're going to leave these four-wheeler trails open that have been open forever. They're trying to kick people off the public land. But they've had people arrested driving the BLM vehicles. The PSYOP people mailed literally hundreds of sex toys and 55-gallon drums of lubricant to them. And then they flip out and say, don't send us more of these, and get mad on camera. So then hundreds of newspapers put articles in saying send them more of these. So reportedly there's just warehouses of sex toys now. I mean, just walking into the PSYOPs. And then, can we pull this up since I mentioned it? The sumo wrestler guy, I mean, we look at a guy who looks like he weighs 500 pounds in a giant diaper, going, I'm a constitutionalist battle commander, and Chris Christie, I'm coming for you. And it just goes on and on. And if that isn't a PSYOP, you couldn't write a script better to discredit the Patriot movement. I mean, so later I'm going to play part of this on the show. I mean, you know, and the whole thing's being orchestrated by known quantities. And it's people that are getting off. I mean, you see them when they're on Fox News and stuff with these crazy looks in their eyes. Like, I'm a TV star now, and I'm playing commando, and I'm doing all this stuff, and we're standing up, and all it does is make us look bad when we've got the globalist. Why do you think they're not moving in on them? Why do you think they say you can stay there for years? Because they're getting millions of dollars of news coverage a day in hundreds of newspapers and on TV as a laughing stock. As a laughing stock. The locals mainly don't want them. They get booed out of the public hearings. Everything is escalating. And they're going to wait till they make some really big mistakes, and then it's going to go badly. I mean, I hope that's not the case, but later I'll play the Bill Maher and get into the whole deal. But it's a bad situation. And shame on the 2 Bundy brothers, or 3 Bundy brothers, to be part of all this foolishness and to not come out and criticize it at least. And I have to say that they now are really burning bridges. I mean, you correspond that to what happened on their property where they had surface grazing rights and what was happening with Harry Reid. That was the place for that. They were the people that had the beef. The Hammonds don't want them. It's just a bad situation, and they look like a troop of P.T. Barnum and Bailey clowns.
Join us this Thursday, January 28th, as Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News bring you another installment of Political Science Theater 3K.
If you're going to have freedom of speech, like any free market, you do not use the government to shut down portions of it.
Join David Knight, Jakari Jackson, Leanne McAdoo, and the rest of the crew as we crash through the lies and propaganda in real time.
When we see the 80-year-old Boy Scout who can't fly a plane because he has the same name as some suspected terrorist, when he turns 16, he's not going to be able to get a driver's license. He's not going to be able to get a job. He's not going to be able to get a college loan.
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Central on the Infowars Nightly News. You can find free streams at Infowars.com/show and the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Join me along with the rest of the Infowars crew for the latest Republican presidential national debate.
Infowars.com, there's a war on for your mind.
Over the years, there have been a lot of powerful advancements in the field of science and nutraceuticals. Youngevity integrates years of scientific research into creating fantastic products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, plant-derived minerals, and much more. Youngevity also offers you an ingenious way to augment your income. And the best part, you'll be helping your friends and family along the way. Visit InfoWarsTeam.com today. Become a member, get discounts on the amazing products, and free shipping when you sign up for AutoShip. And you're able to promote the products to friends and family and neighbors in your community and make money while helping people at the same time. Another win-win. That's why I'm a member of the Youngevity team at InfoWarsTeam.com, and you can be too. It's simple. Just go to InfoWarsTeam.com today, complete a short sign-up, and you're part of the team. That's InfoWarsTeam.com or InfoWarsHealth.com. So many people call into my radio show and tell me how Youngevity and the products at InfoWarsTeam.com have changed their lives. Check it out for yourself today.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com.
From his Central Texas Command Center, deep behind enemy lines, the information war continues. It's Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now into the second hour of the worldwide broadcast. We've got really great news. Townhall.com reporting, Fox News also reporting, Infowars.com also reporting this 30 minutes ago that it appeared to be a hoax. It appeared to be the wicked flee when none pursued. A quote from the Bible where they have these active shooting drills every month, creating copycat shooters, making it part of the culture, demonizing guns, and creating the perception that there's massive shootings going on everywhere when crime using guns is down between 51 and 61% from 1992. Just search engine, gun crime plummets. Perception is it's up. Just like when Jaws came out in 72, for the next decade, beach going went down upwards of half. They had to put newspaper ads in nationwide saying less than 10 people died a year, normally 5 from great whites. Now, more people die from guns, but it's a little over 1,000 in the U.S. every year that are killed in a criminal act or murdered. The police, there's a lot of police brutality and problems, but we're talking maybe 150 people that they questionably kill on their end. Is that the #1 issue? No. They want civil war on the ground. They want destabilization. They want to have a false revolution against American institutions to bring in globalism. That's what Bernie Sanders wants. It's how the communists operate. This is bankers, mega elite, tax exempt, using a totalitarian communist and fascist template. They borrow from it all. Carol Quigley wrote Tragedy and Hope. Only 1,000 copies were published for the State Department and CIA in the 60s so they could understand we fund fascists, we fund communists, we fund dictators, we fund, the left and right's controlled. And he explains the synthesis in the 1,100-page book we sell at InfoWarsStore.com, because Patriots just got the plates and printed it no matter what they said. And there was lawsuits and everything, but still it turned out to be basically fair use. And that book is available today. It's also online. If you read 1,100 pages, you'll understand things like I do, because it's a State Department manual on evil. And to sell the State Department on how to commit Machiavellian acts and why it was for a greater good. Yes, there's a world government. Yes, we're totalitarian. Yes, we're global corporations. And now they want to mainline it. Now, huge developments. This story is up on Infowars.com. Senator Warren's AUMF bill is Declaration of International Martial Law. And we got Facebook mentions. We're going to end that because folks can go to the website and actually see it for themselves. Video, Senator Warren's AUMF bill is Declaration of International Martial Law. It is sponsored by the Senate Majority Leader. It is ramming through, and it gives the president or future presidents unlimited power for 360 war for any reason, including economic or civil emergency in America. But it says ISIS resolution. Ron Paul wrote about it yesterday and said it is the most draconian War Powers Act in U.S. history and makes the unprecedented War Powers Act that Bush was given look like a, quote, walk in the park, close quote. So that's Ron Paul, former congressman, and it's Democrat senator. And then we're going to our guest on SJ Res 29, Senator Chris Murphy. Now, that's a U.S. senator. Now, we got trolls hitting InfoWars last night when this broke, and this morning saying it's not real. And then he's not a real senator, and it's the Onion. They know how dumb the public is who isn't awake. They want them to just think it's not true, think we're the X-Files, and then tune out. No, we'll pull up a Senate page. Murphy is U.S. Senator. Let's put it on screen. And they're also saying that the legislation doesn't say that. Yes, it does. We have a link to it at thomas.loc.gov in these articles. Now, remember, you're awake. You're not being targeted so much in the PSYOP. There it is, Chris Murphy, United States Senator for Connecticut. Okay? They're targeting the 60% that aren't really brain damaged. They're just only experts on football, acting cool, wearing sports jerseys, watching porn. They're afraid that those groups will start getting into reality and then learn, oh, my gosh, the senator just said this. They know most college grads can't say who their senator is or senators are, or the three branches of government. 10% of college grads in a big poll last week, scientific, believe that Judge Judy heads up the Supreme Court. So you need to understand, folks, this is how much they hate you and how stupid they think you are. And we're following these IPs and going to do a report on it. They are sock puppets. It's a person at a computer running hundreds of comments at a time and spewing racism, you name it, to make us all fight. They'll have blacks acting like they're racist, whites acting like they're racist. It's not real, folks. It's most of it's sock puppets to then get the racial infighting starting. And when you think about that they legalized the CIA engaged in disinformation last year in the U.S., that's unprecedented, folks, in propaganda. And it's already been going on with 16 agencies, but now the gloves are off. It's had the blowback, though, with people in government are freaking out over it. So let's go ahead and play this clip and then go to our guest, Mr. Steele, former CIA ground commander in actual operations. You know, that's the thing. There's tons of CIA and other agencies that are paper pushers and make contract money and do analysis. And then there's a very small group that's actually on the ground. back in his day, it was a lot more because there wasn't all the electronic surveillance. But, I mean, the more James Bondy type, that's Mr. Steele that everybody glorifies and, talks about, where you could actually get your head blown off. And, I had family that was actually in intelligence on the ground as well. That's why growing up, I was told the government brings in the drugs, the government stages terror attacks, the government's evil, don't ever join the government. I mean, I just grew up hearing that from uncles and great uncles and cousins and people. And they're like, we can't even get out of this. So the problem the system has is there are patriots in the government, and they grow up and learn about this and then try to stop it. But they're now recruiting a bunch of yuppies and trendies in who actually think tyranny is cool. But it's weird. They're like analysts and people and wannabe spies that have never killed anybody, never stomped anybody's head in, never poisoned anybody, never been tortured, never. And so it's like a wimp brigade of these new agents coming at us, and they're just trash, folks. And if a civil war starts, they're going to get their ass handed to them. It doesn't matter how many Tinker toys they've got, but I'm going to stop ranting. Let's go to this clip of the U.S. Senator, because this is such a big deal. Here it is.
Madam President, today I wanted to come down to the floor to speak very briefly about a resolution that the majority leader introduced, I believe, earlier today. This is an authorization for military force resolution that apparently purports to give the president legal authority to conduct military operations against ISIS. Before we break for the weekend, Madam President, I thought it was important to come to the floor to explain why, very briefly, to my colleagues, to explain what this resolution really is. This resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the United States Constitution. Let's be clear about that. It is essentially a declaration of international martial law, a sweeping transfer of military power to the president that will allow him or her to send U.S. troops almost anywhere in the world for almost any reason with absolutely no limitations.
That's the senator, the real senator. You can read it for yourself. I'm going to skip this network break to give him more time. I want to get him more and more often than just every 6 months. That's why he's back this week to just give us his view on military developments, operations that are happening because of how much experience. RobertDavidSteele.com. You can go to his other news sites by going there. Robert David Steele is a former Marine, CIA case officer, U.S. spy, hacker, CEO of Open Source Solutions Network, and a 2012 candidate for a Reform Party presidential nomination. Currently CEO of the Earth Intelligence Network, an accredited educational nonprofit, and he's the guy that coined open source intelligent teaching. Mid-career officials from across 66 governments, and is today the foremost proponent of applied collective intelligence, which integrates holistic analytics, true cost economics, and open source everything. The latter, an engineering and information management approach that is affordable, and then he goes through and scalable. He's contributing author of another French false flag, bloody tracks from Paris to San Bernardino, and we've just had another of these shooting hysterias that turns out to be just that, another drill that they're fear-mongering. Mr. Steele, I just have been ranting here. Obviously, you probably want to respond to this authorization for military force first, and then I'll give you the floor till the 30 break to cover other breaking info, and then I've got my questions after the break.
Well, I always love watching you lead up to my coming on, and you have been on a roll, Alex, but I absolutely agree with you. Violence is down. A lot of people are out of work. Unemployment in the United States is at least 23% across the board, and it's more like 40% among the young people of color, single moms with kids, and older people. I'm very proud of America. I think we've controlled ourselves very well, and all of this scaremongering about guns is an ideological crusade that is not rooted in fact. You're absolutely right. Now let's go to this war powers provision. One of the problems that we have is that Congress has been bought and paid for. Congress is now in a treasonous state. It is in violation of Article 1 of the Constitution, which is the Balance of Powers Act. It is absolutely outrageous that the United States has such a presence overseas and is engaged in armed, violent operations in over 130 countries. We are killing people in over 130 countries between drone assassinations being run by the CIA, Joint Special Operations Group, and other black mercenary operations that are funded and paid for not just by the taxpayer, but by borrowing against the future of our children. So I personally believe a constitutional convention is absolutely necessary. Now, I've shared with you, Alex, my letter to Governor Abbott. And I have to tell you, Governor Abbott has morons reading his mail. I got back a form letter, and you're free to post my letter to Governor Abbott. I'd be glad to have everybody read it because I think the governor has not read it. A brain-dead intern saw 2 words, Constitutional Convention, and sent me a form letter explaining things I already know, such as the
And I understand you're trying to get through to him. He's been over in Europe on a trade junket, but I actually run into his chief of staff and actually know him. I'll make sure it gets delivered to him.
Well, God bless you, Alex, because I think this would be good for Texas and it would be good for the governor. Because I have got more email as a result of my last appearance on your show than ever before. Everybody loves the idea of a virtual constitutional convention, one in which Governor Abbott hosts a constitutional convention and invites your counterpart on radio, Mark Levin, a great American who's written the book on the Constitutional Convention, and let's have it out.
Look, your plan is that the way to get it launched is to have the mock one, bring in a bunch of people, war game it, have C-SPAN cover it. It'll make the governor a huge star. He needs the support. They're attacking him. It'll be a bully pulpit, and then that can help organize and make sure the con we have is constitutional and patriot.
Man, absolutely right, Alex. And perhaps even more to the point, it will demonstrate how shallow and ignorant all of the presidential candidates, with the exception of John Kasich and maybe Ted Cruz, are.
You're saying we take over the narrative and actually inject reality.
Yes. It's time the American public took back its government. And a virtual con is how we do that. And Governor Abbott, if he can get past his idiot staff, is the man who can do it.
Well, in fairness, he's very popular. I know he gets over 1,000 letters a week, but we'll try to get it through to him. It's just that...
And it's not just him, Alex. I've had this problem with the U.S. government. The problem is that people put interns on the front end of their mail. And interns don't have the depth of knowledge to actually see big ideas coming at them. Like you just flashed on that thing. They see 2 words, Constitutional Convention, and they send out a form letter that says, oh, yes, this is something that requires 34 states out of the 50 to ask for. Duh. Okay? So I would be really thrilled if you got the chief of staff to the governor to actually read this letter, because I also believe that the University of Texas, Admiral McRaven, one of our great American heroes, the University of Texas has a role to play. It can run an electoral reform summit. It could run an unemployment workshop. Nothing makes me crazier than people like Rachel Maddow calling people like you and me unemployment truthers when we're trying to explain that the reality in America is that most of us are either unemployed or we're juggling 2 or 3 jobs without benefits just to try to make ends meet at a time when inflation is still rising.
Absolutely. I know so many people with 2, 3, 4 degrees that are hardworking, that are bagging groceries and then running some other little small business on the side, and then literally, you know, going and running catering businesses and stuff to try to pay all the bills. I mean, I know people that are smarter than I am. I was talking about a real person there that you know, actually is a manager at a grocery store, runs a catering company, and has a little internet business. And you know, that's to try to live a middle-class life.
Yes. Well, we've killed ourselves. And one of the things I do not like about Donald Trump is that he's basically lying to the public. China did not take our jobs. Our CEOs gave them our jobs because we have a 2-party tyranny that is basically what Matt Taibbi calls in his brilliant book, Griftopia, the merger of political crime and financial crime. I believe that it's time now for someone like Governor Kasich and Governor Abbott and maybe even Governor O'Malley to come out and point out to America that 60% of the electoral public has been disenfranchised by the 2-party tyranny. And if we go into a new election, let's say Mike Bloomberg runs, that's actually good because he'll pull votes from Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders, who I consider a fraud. But the bottom line here is we need a clean sheet, fresh start. We need.
By the way, Bloomberg, as you predicted last week, came out 3 days later and said he may run. And, of course, we've also got Biden talking about running now. What's your view on Hillary? I mean, she is in so much trouble. She's having, in fact, we have the video, coughing fits. She looks...
Let me be crystal clear. I think Hillary Clinton is a dishonest, incompetent toad. She has absolutely no redeeming virtues. She kicked Al Gore out of the vice president's office in the old executive office building. She treats people very, very badly. All of my Secret Service contacts say that they will never, ever again work for her. She is a dishonest, cruel, self-centered person. I absolutely think that anybody who votes for Hillary Clinton is an idiot.
I have interviewed Jim Tucker, the late, great Jim Tucker that exposed Bilderberg, which is the secret Davos for new viewers and listeners. He said that they tell people, do not look in her eyes. She doesn't tip. She treats the smallest people and tells them you are scum. She is so hateful even to her staff. They said that, and then I had a chance infiltrating Bilderberg quite a few times to actually then go back the days after. Now they just close it for days after, so I have trouble, and talk to the staff who wouldn't talk to me, especially English speakers in Virginia, and the police and everybody. And you know, the first few days they won't talk to us, but then after that they go, oh, here's the documents. They're horrible. We've never been treated so bad. These are evil men. It's like a James Bond movie is what they say. That's like, is that Spectre? And
Look,
of course,
the truth teller on Hillary Clinton is the guy in charge of the Congressional Commission that she worked for, is on the record as saying that he would never, ever hire her again. She was dishonest beginning in her days as a congressional staffer. This is not a...
That's right. He said on Watergate she was a total criminal snake.
Yes, absolutely. And now let's...
Didn't she commit some crimes and got away with it on that hearing? It was a bunch of stuff.
She proposed illegal activities as part of trying to win. This is a woman who will do anything to get her way, even if it's an un-American, unconstitutional way. In this, she's very like Henry Kissinger, who joked that the illegal we do immediately, the unconstitutional takes a little longer. Hillary Clinton is an unconstitutional person and should absolutely not be considered, nor should Bernie Sanders, frankly. So
let me ask you this. Who do you think are because, I mean, these guys like George Shultz and James Baker and Kissinger are kind of fading out. Rockefeller reportedly now is you know, at almost 100. I think it's like 98. Does have dementia, but comes in and out. He was the kingpin till 5 years ago. They tried to have his, you know, his nephew Jay do it, but he's not as on the ball, obviously. The word is Brzezinski's right up there at the top, but still it's Kissinger. Like General Jones said 5 years ago in the Council on Foreign Relations publication, I get my orders from Henry Kissinger every day when he headed up the National Security Council. And that was a serious quote. Who globally are really running things?
Realistically, Kissinger and Brzezinski are the best of the servant class. Okay, they're servants. They're not rulers of men. They take their orders from the banking families.
No, I understand. So like they're the top front men or the imperial legates, like when the old Roman emperors would send a general out who spoke in the voice of the emperor or in the voice of Sauron.
Right, exactly. And the reason we need a constitutional convention, the reason we need an electoral reform summit, which I would love to have Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich from across the aisle be the lead people, together with Jesse Ventura, Cynthia McKinney, Jill Stein, and of course, all of the presidential candidates now running should be invited to appear so that all of them can demonstrate how shallow they are, with the possible exception of John Kasich. I mean, I think Kasich is going to come out of the next month ahead of the game. And I don't know if you've picked this up, but there is a wild, wild story on Mario Rubio as a gay prostitute, as a teenager. Wayne Madsen, one of your investigative journalism counterparts, has come out with this. I think this story has legs, and I think it's going to deepen. And Larry Ellison...
Absolutely. We're getting Wayne on. In fact, let's try to get Wayne on in the 4th hour today, or even the 3rd hour for 10 minutes on that. And I did see that article, and I meant to have a meeting about it, and got... I mean, I've got...
Grab that article. Grab that article.
Absolutely. And I've got, you know, women connected to the Clintons saying they're worried that they're going to kill them. That's up on drudgereport.com. I mean, this is just, the news is insane nowadays.
Well, you know, Alex, one of the good things is it's no longer as easy to kill people and get away with it as it used to be. I think America is ready for a truth and reconciliation moment. And one of the reasons I strongly hope that Governor Kasich and Ted Cruz, among others, will come in favor of an electoral reform summit is because we need to get all Americans back into the process of democracy. And the easiest way to achieve peace and prosperity in the United States of America is to restore integrity to our government. And that's what the Electoral Reform Summit would do in time to elect libertarians and Constitution, working parties, even justice and working families, members to Congress. That breaks the back of the two-party tyranny. That restores.
Sure, that's why they've been trying to divide and conquer us. Stay there, Mr. Steele. We're going to come back and get into the threats against people that have been exposing the Clintons, what's happening with the economy, and we're going to open the phones up for your questions for Mr. Steele. Stay with us. I'm Alex Jones.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
A Texas grand jury investigating the allegations that a Planned Parenthood clinic in Houston illegally sold the tissue of aborted fetuses has cleared the organization of wrongdoing and instead indicted the two pro-life activists behind the undercover videos that sparked the probe, reports the Houston Chronicle. The secret videographers were both indicted on charges of tampering with a government record, a second-degree felony that carries a punishment of up to 20 years in prison. The district attorney announced the surprising indictment Monday after a 2-month investigation. The probe began after the Center for Medical Progress, an anti-abortion group, released footage of the Houston clinic as part of a series of videos showing Planned Parenthood officials casually discussing the methods and cost of preserving fetal tissue. As a side note, one of the women said she wanted to use proceeds to purchase a Lamborghini. You can find more reports on Infowars.com.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Shower filters. We're introducing the best yet. The brand new ProPure ProMax high-performance shower filter. It removes and reduces over 200 contaminants while preserving a strong, powerful flow. This new 4-stage filtration process helps protect the largest organ in your body, your skin, from the unhealthy contaminants in the water. You can find more details on this amazing new filter and free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order your ProMax shower filter from ProPure today. Our listeners over the past 2 years tried X2 nascent iodine and experienced it for themselves.
I basically had my gallbladder out within the last 9 months. Needed to get my digestive system working correctly again. So I stumbled on the X2.
When we look at a product like Survival Shield Nascent Iodine X2, it's something that really has been hiding in plain view for over 100 years.
I needed the detox, basically. I started taking the X2 first for about 7 days, and then I did the deep cleanse.
I want to challenge the listeners who've not tried X2 for yourselves. What do you have to lose? You are the tip of the spear in the fight for human liberty, and you're getting a high-quality product that has absolutely changed my life and many other people's lives that I know.
I noticed significant change in my digestive flow. I was like really more natural.
Stock up on Survival Shield X2 today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Waging war.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones.
It's the time of the season.
I'm going to go over some Infowars.com stories here in a moment with our guest. I'm going to give the number out. If you have a question for Robert David Steele, author, researcher, former CIA ground operator, commander, you can give him a call and ask any questions, comments about anything geopolitical you'd like to discuss or anything happening domestically. 800-259-9231. 800-259-9231. Now, before we go any further here, look at these headlines at DrudgeReport.com. The U.S. debt is up to $70,000 per household under Obama. And it just continues to grow exponentially. And the Republicans like Mitch McConnell are trying to hand him and whoever comes after him martial law level war powers. I mean, just carte blanche, anything you want. And they're acting like it's no big deal. It's not even in the news. It took us a day to find out it was going on, and then 4 days to find out that a U.S. senator had come out. And by the way, it turns out he gave his speech calling it international martial law before I said it was a declaration of worldwide military martial law. Because that's what it is. A senator said what I said before I said it. Think about that. That's not him reading what because I thought he must have heard what I said and said that. No, he said it before I did, a day before. That's because it's what it is. It's not Alex Jones rhetoric getting picked up like Rachel Maddow says. You know, this is just crazy. He claims there's a militarization of police and armored vehicles and billions of rounds of ammo being deployed. It's all lies. Yeah, at fed.bizops website. I mean, and then we have all the cops on tape going, yeah, we're being trained to take on the veterans and gun owners. We think it's a terrible idea, but we're being trained to do it. Here's the training manual. And then they just get up there on TV and say it doesn't exist. We're going back to our guest here to get back into this, to get into more, to take your phone calls. But this is a listener-supported broadcast. We don't get $3 million like NBC and MSNBC of stimulus money. We don't get to give raises to Rachel Maddow. We don't get $440-something million a year like NPR on top of all their begging for money. And, you know, $100 for a coffee cup and $100 for a DVD and, you know, and then the big foundations, Annenberg, CPB, Ford Foundation, Rockefeller Brothers. We get zero. We are funded by selling pro-gun T-shirts. We're funded by selling that is about to sell out the Hillary for President T-shirt, 2016. We are funded by selling nutraceuticals and books and videos and material and non-GMO, highest quality seeds and the highest quality water filters. I just want to ask you to continue to check out the great items and products there and compare them and shop around and really find out what great deals we've got and realize it's a win-win when you support the InfoWars because it costs a lot of money to run this. You can get Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine X2, and Super Male Vitality for 15% off. We extended that through today because there's a new special tomorrow, but not on this. This ends today. They said just extend it. People really like it. It's over tonight at midnight. Again, super deal on that. Deep Cleanse is back after being sold out for months. Really good detoxifier on so many fronts. Read why. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com. Free shipping on the water filtration system in the shower. And don't forget, not just all the great items at InfoWarsLife.com or InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. When you go to InfoWarsHealth.com, there are over 400 items at the lowest prices available of the entire spectrum of the highly respected organic longevity products. And when you purchase it there, we end up getting about 10% of it, of the profit that's there to help fund this operation. Pollen Burst, amazing natural-based energy booster, amazing. Beyond Tangy Tangerine Organic 2.0, the informational videos, the articles, InfoWarsHealth.com. And when you sign up for $10 and become a member, you get 30% off your first order, which is huge. And then you also get free shipping when you sign up for the auto shipping at InfoWarsHealth.com. You can also call the number that's there if you want to become a distributor, find out about other discounts, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277. Okay. I want to go to your phone calls here in about 10 minutes, but I want to go back to Mr. Steele, who you should also support. Get his book, read his material, go to his websites. You got quite a few websites. They're all amazing, but particularly should folks go to robertdavidsteele.com or should they go to the other site?
If you go to that website, you'll see websites over on the other end. The blog, which also has the donate button, since I have no salary, pension, or savings. The blog is Phi Beta Iota.net. That's like Phi Beta Kappa, but iota for smart people. So Phi Beta Iota.net is the blog where I curate over 80 really top people from around the world who do public intelligence in the public interest. And then the political site is bigbatusa.org, which I'm trying to turn over to anybody who will support electoral reform, because I believe there are 100 million pissed off voters who would pay $10 each for a Liberty Fund to basically buy our government back. So PhiBetaIota.net and BigBatUSA.org are two of the sites.
All right, going back to this war powers authorization, for me that's such a huge deal. Ron Paul saying it's tyranny. You Democrat senators saying it's worldwide martial law, or his exact quote, Declaration of International Martial Law. It's not martial law itself, but it's the authorization of it. I mean, this is unprecedented. And this is the Republicans trying to do this, I guess, because they want the power when Obama leaves. What a sick group the Republican leadership is.
Well, I agree, and I frankly support the Tea Party members of the Republican Party who are telling the Republican Party to stick it. Newt Gingrich did a lot of damage to the Republican Party. He turned members into foot soldiers who were required to vote the party line regardless of what their constituents wanted. That's something we need to turn back. We need to get every member of Congress to sign an oath that they will poll their constituents and represent their constituents. That's not happening today. And if Governor Abbott were to have a virtual con, one of the issues we should be discussing is the elimination of executive orders, which are unconstitutional. We should be discussing a congressional demand for a grand strategy review. Ron Paul did a great book, his collection of his speeches on peace and foreign policy of peace, friendship, and commerce. You know, I'm a former Marine, as you know, and I created the Marine Corps Intelligence Center. I believe we need to strengthen our military. However, Donald Trump is an idiot when he says he wants to give more money to the military. Right now, the military is taking up 60% of our discretionary budget, 16% of the total budget, and it's documented at 50% waste. We have a hollow military. We need a 450-ship Navy. Right now, we have more admirals than we have ships. We need a long-haul Air Force. We need an air mobile.
So what you're saying, the problem isn't money. It's that there's a bunch of special interests robbing everything with the new Joint Strike Fighter that cost over $1 billion a piece and isn't even as good as an F-15 they admit. I mean, isn't that sedition and treason and sabotage to build?
Guantanamo should be reserved for Lockheed Martin executives. The reality here, General Robert Scales did a wonderful study. The infantry is 4% of the force and takes 80% of the casualties. The infantry in the Pentagon gets 1% of the budget. 1%.
The boots on the ground are the total muscle, the assassins, the killers, the HUMAT. They do it all. And then we have all this big fancy junk that basically does nothing.
99% of the Pentagon budget is fraud, waste, and abuse. And nobody, Robert Gates, this is the first thing Robert Gates has said recently that I've agreed with, on Charlie Rose. He said nobody in Washington gets fired for being incompetent. They get fired for having sexual activities outside of marriage, which the Clintons and others have had a lot of. But they don't get fired for being incompetent. The fact is that 45% of our weapons acquisitions programs are fraud, waste, and abuse. That's documented. 75% of our expenditures in Afghanistan are fraud, waste, and abuse. That's documented.
Now, let's conversely look at the Russians. From your analysis of what they're doing, it looks like they're really trying to stand up some really serious weapon systems that challenge U.S. superiority.
Well, yes and no, Alex. I mean, one of the problems that people don't realize is that all militaries have the same problem we do. I remember when the Cold War ended and some of our generals flew into Russia to what they thought were really advanced air bases with the most modern missiles possible. Their pilot was actually concerned because there were potholes on the runways.
Yes.
All right. I will tell you right now, I have a briefing that's coming out on the 28th that says very clearly that Saudi Arabia, which has spent $100 billion on state-sponsored terrorism, is the #1 enemy of the United States, not the Russians.
And you've been in the Middle East in many operations. What is the real Saudi plan? I mean, they play at every level. They fund all the major Wahhabist terror groups.
Unfortunately, there's a Saudi and an Israeli plan. But let's just focus on the Saudi plan. The Saudi plan is to basically recreate the caliphate and go all the way to Indonesia. And the Saudis are delusional if they think they can achieve this because they're doing it on the backs of everybody else. We have ignored Saudi state-sponsored terrorism since 1988. It's time that stopped.
Well, they're now trying to manipulate U.S. television, U.S. media. They've even jacked with us. They've jacked with other major authors I know. I'm not going to get into the inside baseball because I've been asked not to talk about it, but they are actively involved in the United States with intelligence operatives and people, and they really are getting too big for the britches, in my view.
Well, I agree, Alex. And one of the problems that I have here is that the United States government is not making evidence-based decisions. Ambassador Mark Palmer wrote an excellent book on breaking the real axis of evil, in which he pointed out that the U.S. government is best pals with 42 of the 44 dictators on the planet. The only two that we don't like are in North Korea and Cuba. The United States government is misrepresenting the U.S. public. It is essentially a form of fascist or corporate-owned government, and it is in the business of arms sales and looting other countries.
And now no one can deny that, and now they want to loot America even more and bring in a cashless society and shut down the family farms with their Rural Affairs Commission run by the Pentagon, and we got U.S. senators admitting we're going under martial law legislation. I mean, it's just sensational, but it's all happening.
Yeah, well, you know, Mark Tabi, in his book, Griftopia, which I recommend, or any book I mention, you can read my summary of the book at Amazon. Mark Tabi says that the elites have decided that we are expendable. They're basically planning to hollow out America and leave us all for dead meat and move to Switzerland.
That's what Brzezinski said. He said it's cheaper to kill 1 million people now than to propagandize them.
Well, actually, yes, it is. But what's interesting, and the reason that I'm the pioneer for the open source everything movement, open source everything engineering, is because I can move 1 million people to a northeastern part of Somalia that has dirt, sunlight, and seawater. And for $500 per person, I can create a thriving metropolis. $500 per person if you use open source everything engineering. All right, so that's not only open source technology, open source software.
But they're blocking what you're doing, calling it conflicting or disruptive technology to freeze us in a Stone Age level while they consolidate the wealth of power and tax-exempt, above the law, diplomatically immune, globalist reservations, even artificial islands. They are building a breakaway civilization.
Yes, they are, but I don't think it will succeed. As the wealthy in New York found out in 1920, infectious disease does not spare popes, presidents, and billionaires. We're all in this together. This is one massive spaceship Earth. And the good news is...
Yeah, what are these crazy people thinking? They've built a time bomb allowing the population to explode, claiming it's overpopulated in their Royal Commission in 49, but deciding to overpopulate, in their view, not allow development, to create a giant slave squalor, to then leverage production under globalism in the name of building up the third world, to actually betray and deindustrialize the West and impoverish it, to knock out a middle-class competitor class and bring in worldwide squalor as a political tool, and now all they've done is created a giant time bomb that could blow the whole spaceship up. These people are psychopaths.
Well, no, Alex, they're good people trapped in an ivory tower. One of the problems with the really rich people as well as high-level political people is they're surrounded by ass-kissers.
Yes.
They're surrounded by people who want to protect their jobs at all costs. And these people are out of touch with reality. I am a top intelligence analyst. I do holistic analytics, true cost economics, and open source everything engineering. And right now, nobody wants to buy that. Even Denver and India, that are doing some really great smart cities initiatives, they're wrong. They think a smart city is about digital connectivity. It's not. It's about building a city that doesn't have true costs so heavy that it cannot be continued forever. Okay, water costs, for example.
Well, it's truly self-sufficient. I've read your material. It's amazing. Folks should read your book, but I mean, and your essays. But let's expand because we're about to go to calls here. The establishment does not want self-sufficient local systems because it wants control. It sells tyranny as sustainability, but it's the opposite of sustainability. You're pushing real sustainability, so that's how these things get confusing. But I just want to add this. When I say we're overpopulated, They made the decision to overpopulate because they didn't scale the clean farming systems and systems they knew were there. The British government had a commission, and it's all there, and they actually planned the future out. This got adopted by a bunch of other people, folks, and so they built an unsustainable system on purpose to then be able to control everybody. It's not that I'm saying we're overpopulated. I'm saying with the system we've built, we're overpopulated. Mr. Steele, do you agree or disagree?
I agree, and I can make all these problems go away. The fastest way to control population is with education, food, and housing. As soon as you do that, people stop having too many babies. And I also believe...
That's what the commission said, and they said we're not going to do that.
Well, they are going to do that, and the good news for them is we're not going to burn them down.
Well, absolutely. How do they ever think they're going to get away with this when the word's already out what they did?
I think these people live in a delusional world. I mean, look at this guy that jacked up drugs to $700, and now he's looking at a jail term. These people really think that they are in charge. And what they don't understand is that they have been living on tolerance. They have been living on the bubble. Now that the bubble has burst, now that everybody is paying attention, I mean, I'm disgusted with Forbes, for example. They just had an article about how the system is rigged, but they can't bring themselves to discuss the fact that 60% of all Americans have been completely disenfranchised. Libertarians, Constitution, Green, Reform, Natural Law.
Yeah, they were greedy. They rigged it to steal everything instead of just rigging it to put themselves in charge. What dumb managers, even if they're going to be corrupt, to screw everyone?
Well, I agree, Alex, and I'm hoping, and this is why Governor Abbott has an opportunity to rise to save America. If he sponsors a virtual CONCON and electoral reform summit, he changes everything.
Well, I agree. He can't just sit there and call for the idea and look like a leader. We need to call all the governors, organize it, start the beta test. That's what will launch the whole thing. We're going to come back with 2 segments of calls. Then we've got Max Kaiser joining us from Russia.
Today, more than ever, it's imperative that you protect your digital privacy. EDEC Digital Forensics Signal Blocking Anti-Radiation Anti-Surveillance Faraday Bags shield the contents of your phones, tablets, and key fobs from 4G, Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, NFC, and more. Find us at edecdf.com/radio or call us now at 805-222-4584. That's 805-222-4584. Radio listeners get 20% off your order.
Water is the single most important thing your body needs, so you want to be sure it's the best for you and your family. Since 2005, thousands have depended on Berkey purified water. The Berkey Guy provides the lowest priced filtration systems in every size. For incredibly delicious water now and in an emergency, get to GoBerkey.com or call 877-886-3653. 877-886-3653. GoBerkey.com.
Why be held hostage by your wireless carrier for 2 years? What if you had no contract, no activation fees, no hidden costs, tracking, tracing, harvesting customer data, or draconian gimmicks, all on the nation's best 4G LTE network? Introducing Pix Wireless. Bring your phone and other qualifying devices to Pix and to choose a plan starting at only $14 a month. Get connected now. Call or click 1-866-267-2056 or PixWireless.com. Spelled P-I-X, wireless.com. Pick Pix and get connected today.
My dad was 59 when he collapsed from a heart attack late last year. Just this past August was when we spread his ashes on the St. Croix River. I loved my dad, but boy was he stubborn. He hadn't been to the doctor in over 25 years. His excuse? He simply couldn't afford it. He wasn't a rich man by any means. At less than $107 per month, LibertyOnCall.org would have been the perfect alternative for my father. Don't wait. Go to LibertyOnCall.org right now, for not just your sake, but for the sake of your loved ones. Again, that's LibertyOnCall.org.
The following statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Something shocking just happened in a Coast Guard unit in San Diego. The old guys in the unit have turned the tables and are now destroying the young bucks in head-to-head fitness tests. How is this even possible? Turns out the old guys in this unit had been part of a special test group for a doctor-formulated fountain of youth drink called Patriot Power Greens. Patriot Power Greens has been so effective for many of the older soldiers that it's made their achy joints, stiff muscles, and lack of energy a thing of the past. Previously, this drink was only available to elite military units. But for a limited time, the creator of Patriot Power Greens has set aside a small number of free samples specifically for our conservative friends. All they ask is that you chip in a few bucks to cover shipping. To claim your free samples of Patriot Power Greens, go to greens75.com. That's greens75.com. Greens75.com.
One of the Clinton victims has gone public and says she fears for her life. That story's up on Infowars.com and DrudgeReport.com. I'll talk some about that coming up in the next hour when Max Kaiser joins us and more. But we'll also be looking at the world economy. George Soros is running around saying it's all going to collapse while openly standing to profit from it. And I agree it's all untenable and go in that direction. But then, he ghoulishly shows up to then you try to sit in the middle of it and manipulate it. Just more bizarre behavior. But right now, we've got Mr. Steele with us. We're taking phone calls here. Let's go ahead and talk to JT in Colorado. JT, you're on the air. Thanks for calling.
Hi, guys. Mr. Steele, might I suggest, rather than a constitutional convention, since the problem is the federal government, not the Constitution, I would suggest a continental Congress where the states elect delegates to tasked with the idea of firing the federal government and its tentacles within the states. What is your opinion of that?
Well, first off, we're talking about a virtual constitutional convention, and whatever you want to call it, it's a complete review of the Constitution. In my understanding, and I have published a number of summaries of books about secession and state rights, and one of the good things about Ted Cruz is he's got one of the strongest positions on state rights. The federal government is supposed to be an administrative service of common concern. I don't believe the federal government should own land. It should also not be allowed to tax citizens or corporations.
It's gone imperial, it's gone rogue, and what we're saying is a bully pulpit event to debate a con and to give it attention and to get support and to drive it, and then to create a consensus on what the real con will be and the plan to drive it through. JT, go ahead, David.
Yes, and also to lay out the issues, because one of the problems that I have with all of the candidates, without exceptions, is not a single one of them is providing a serious menu of what's wrong with the federal government and how to fix it. They are all talking platitudes in isolated little bits and pieces. I think Kasich, because he really does understand what a balanced budget means, is the most serious of them all. But by and large, Tom Friedman has it right when he says none of the above. I want to see a con in which the public defines what the gold standard is, and then we challenge these candidates to rise to that standard, or we find a new candidate.
All right, JT, interesting point on the Constitutional Convention instead of Continental Congress. Let's go ahead now and talk to Jerry in New York. You're on the air, Jerry. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Mr. Steele, I just was reading an article in the New York Times about Mexico. As frustrations with Mexico's government rise, so do lynchings. It appears that the Mexican citizens are absolutely fed up with government corruption. I don't know what implications this is also because of the corruption in the drug cartels and the banking, the drug laundering, that we may see this grow. I don't know if you have any intelligence on
Mexico has collapsed in many areas and is a totally failed state. Let's get Steele's take on that. It's a great question, Jerry.
Yeah, it is. And Jerry, I'm a son of New York. I was born on Long Island, which may one day be the free state of Long Island. And I do believe that the United States is in a precondition of revolutionary state. The most popular graphic on my website is preconditions of revolution that exist in the USA today. There are going to be more cop killings. There are going to be more people who lose their minds and start shooting.
You know what? I want to hold Jerry over. Stay there. We're going to take a few more calls. This is a great point. And again, I'm not saying the police are perfect, folks. You can't just execute random cops. They want to make the revolution about that instead of going after the real elites. I mean, if you're going to get physical, you know, the average cop, you don't even know their name. That's not the target, folks. And I'm not saying get physical, period. Tell folks how you got introduced to Super Male, and then when Super Female came out, tell us what happened.
After I saw such a huge positive change in my husband, I had to try it for myself.
Talk about the effects.
I feel great when I wake up in the morning. I have drive to go to the gym. I feel like I look better. I feel better. I feel sexier. I love it.
Even if you don't believe in supplements, take the challenge. Get a bottle of Super Male, a bottle of Super Female. Check it out for yourself. Consult your physician. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today. This is life-changing. Shower filters. We're introducing the best yet. The brand new ProPure ProMax high-performance shower filter. It removes and reduces over 200 contaminants while preserving a strong, powerful flow. This new 4-stage filtration process helps protect the largest organ in your body, your skin, from the unhealthy contaminants in the water. You can find more details on this amazing new filter and free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order your ProMax shower filter from ProPure today.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
And this is the front lines. Make no mistake. I want to try to finish up with Jerry, Mr. Steele, get to a few more calls from Sherry, Cindy, and we'll talk to Ron and others coming up. We've got questions about the Zika virus and Rockefeller funded. I mean, wow. I wish we could keep our guests because these are great questions, but we'll have him back up soon. I'm not sitting here blank check worshiping the police. I'm the guy that wrote books on the police state, but that's a process of government to bring in a tyranny. That's our fault letting it get to this point. But clearly, they're trying to have the revolution against tyranny vent against the police. Clearly, in mainstream media, they're setting police up like a piñata, in my view, as the scapegoat. And which it won't bring reform. It'll turn them into death squads, will be their response to being killed, in my view, historically. Mr. Steele, is that an accurate statement?
It is, Alex. And I'm doing a briefing later this week on ISIS as a false threat and Saudi Arabia as the real threat. And one of the questions I was asked to answer was, is there a legitimate competitor to ISIS? And the answer is yes, there is. It's called legitimate governance. When wealth is concentrated and governance is out of control, over regulation, over taxation, over or under benefits.
Selective enforcement's the big one.
Yes. And so what you have here is you have a population. It's like rats being packed into an aquarium. People eventually start losing their minds. Good people start losing their minds. And cops, because their uniforms, they're the easiest, most visible target for angry people who have lost their minds. The United States is not far behind Mexico.
Yeah, police especially just either ought to quit their jobs or help take the government back because, I mean, the globalists are willfully trying to make you the target. It's a really bold move, I got to say, of the establishment. And I think it's backfired because I talked to the police and military. They see through it, Mr. Steele.
But, Alex, I want to make a point here, which is Governor Abbott has less than 30 days to get his act together. If he does not sponsor these events in March, we will lose the election cycle.
No, I get it. We need to push that, and let's try to develop a plan to try to get him to do it or get some other governor to do it. I hear you. Jerry, final comment to what we were just talking about.
Yes, no final comment. I had one quick question. I think it's important. I have to go pick up my daughter from school. I'm a retired police officer and former Marine infantry.
Hoorah.
So Mr. Steele, yeah, hoorah. So I have the question that's been mulling around is this issue of guaranteed minimum income. It sounds like, you know, pie in the sky. And I was thinking, I don't know what you...
Jerry, it's a good idea. And let me just tell you, I'm from New York, and I have New York values, and I also have Colorado values. Look, what it boils down to is there is plenty of wealth. One of the problems that we've had is we've tried to kill subsistence farming, subsistence everything. In Florida, it's illegal to harvest water and be off the grid. The government.
That's right. They're trying to put us all in a big plastic box. They're trying to make us poor on purpose. And then they make it about, you know, oh, you're not having a high enough wage. When we had an economy that would stabilize and everybody could be wealthy when it came to having their basic subsistence. We got to jump.
Jerry,
thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, my bottom line, Jerry, is that land needs to be owned by the community. Nobody should lack for food and shelter and clothing and education. And that is easy to do if you restore integrity to the government.
They want us crammed into big mega cities, renting from them, barely living hand to mouth in a 200-square-foot coffin apartment, with the federal government having 60% of the land in the country. That needs to end. It needs to, you know, boom towns need to be created. Mining needs to be brought back. This country is almost completely untouched. Now is the time.
And imagine another frontier in which we start creating marijuana plantations, just like this Colorado town just did, which is going to make everybody in that town that was unemployed and without a penny rich.
Well, there are just hundreds of new industries and all sorts of innovations that have been blocked that will take us to the stars. Thank you, Mr. Steele. Great to have you on with us.
Oh, my pleasure, always.
Now, callers, I'm sure Max Keiser and I can at least try to answer your questions because Steele's going. We got our next guest coming on. If you want to hold Sherry and Cindy and Mike and Ron, and we'll get to all of you coming up. Max Keiser from Moscow.
Join us this Thursday, January 28th, as Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News bring you another installment of Political Science Theater 3K.
If you're going to have freedom of speech, like any free market, you do not use the government to shut down portions of it.
Join David Knight, Jakari Jackson, Leanne McAdoo, and the rest of the crew as we crash through the lies and propaganda in real time.
When we see the 8-year-old Boy Scout who can't fly a plane because he has the same name as some suspected terrorist, when he turns 16, he's not going to be able to get a driver's license. He's not going to be able to get a job. He's not going to be able to get a college loan.
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Central on the Infowars Nightly News. You can find free streams at Infowars.com/show and the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Join me along with the rest of the Infowars crew for the latest Republican presidential national debate.
Infowars.com, there's a war on for your mind.
A clean, toxic-free body is the foundation of true health. Deep Cleanse by InfoWarsLife.com. A scientifically formulated blend of nanocolloidal zeolites and organic ingredients that aid the body in cleansing chemicals and toxic metals. Using our proprietary multi-step extraction technology, Deep Cleanse is our most affordable all-in-one cleanser. With concentrated organic compounds like cilantro, milk thistle, fulvic acid, orange peel, zeolites, and others, Deep Cleanse doesn't hold back. Instead of buying 5, 6, or even 7 different cleansing products, we use decades-old scientific research to put together the Rolls-Royce of all-in-one cleansing. Look, there's a reason Deep Cleanse is the only product on the market that uses our proprietary Spigyrex herbal processing technique. We use only the highest quality organic herbs backed by serious research, and we still bring it to you at the best price out there. If you wish to find Deep Cleanse and experience the all-in-one cleansing, visit InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. InfoWarsLife.com. Oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. A highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. Sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
He aligns himself with the truth. and it's time for you to choose a side. You're listening to Alex Jones.
I see your hair is burning.
Well, I tell you, the skyline of Moscow, there on screen for TV viewers, is burning with lights there at Red Square and the Kremlin. We're going to be going to Max Keiser here in just a moment. What are we getting into in this hour? The world economy that he accurately predicted would start imploding. What's happening at Davos, what's happening in Moscow. Cologne women apologize for xenophobia by giving migrant roses following mass molestation. This is the political correct mental illness on display. That's up on Infowars.com. Swedish police warn Stockholm main train station is now overrun by migrant teens, raping, molesting, you name it. They're now raping and groping women at public swimming pools, indoor swimming pools, and pooping in the pool. Gangs of all-male Moroccan migrant children take over. This is just the total takeover that's happening. Meanwhile, update, no evidence of a shooting at Naval Center. It was all just mind control, freak out, hysteria, with the wicked fleeing when none pursued, with the perception of mass gun shootings everywhere where they're actually down by over half. Here's AP, totally incredible headline. Task force urges doctors to screen all adults for depression under Obama executive order. They want to just force you to be screened for depression, where they ask these overly broad questions and then take your guns outside of law. U.S. Senator, Democrat. Senator warns the authorization military force bill is declaration of international martial law. The resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution, says the senator from Connecticut, Chris Murphy. By the way, he gave that speech before we ran the headlines last week, because nobody else was covering it. We didn't even know he did this, saying worldwide martial law. We use the exact terms. Worldwide military martial law is what I said. I mean, that's what it is. Doesn't mean they're going to actually execute it, but, I mean, they've never done stuff like this. I can't believe they're this naked about it. And then we'll talk about this. We're going to Keiser in 60 seconds. If I die by committing suicide, don't believe it. Bill's former mistress fears Hillary's wrath. We'll put up drudgereport.com for folks and show you where you click to read that Infowars.com article by Don Salazar, one of our amazing researchers. One of the President Bill Clinton's former mistresses fears the Clinton campaign attempt to assassinate her. Former Miss Arkansas, Sally Miller, goes public. Boom, FBI investigators will go public if Obama, Attorney General, does not indict Hillary Clinton. That's what former Speaker Whip of the House, Tom DeLay, said. Boom, have video of that. Insider, top marketing billionaire. It doesn't matter about Trump. Hillary will win. That's up on Infowars.com. Continuing, new poll out, CBS News. Americans hate the U.S. government more than ever. Well, you mean the criminals that have hijacked it? That is just some of what is coming up. And we've got the Oregon so-called militia people and others that are up there taking over that building, getting caught driving cars, wearing weird sumo wrestler outfits, waving sex toys on TV. If they aren't being directed by the government, they ought to be, because that's worse than I ever imagined. I mean, that you couldn't discredit people better. You couldn't make that up in a Mad Magazine article. So we're going to be talking about that some today as well. Boy, I'm against the Fed stealing land, and I'm against people looking like they're a monkey doing you-know-what with a football. Again, I'm Alex Jones with Infowars.com. Max Keiser and his trustworthy sidekick are in the freezing. I guess it's got to be like 9, 10 o'clock at night in Moscow. They're out there in the freezing sleet with just gorgeous images of the Orthodox Russian architecture there in Red Square with the Kremlin and the Royal Palace in the background. Max Keiser, thank you so much. Of course, MaxKeiser.com, investigative journalist, author, Bitcoin baron. Thank you so much for joining us, Max.
Yeah, Alex, can you hear me? Just check on sound. Sounds good?
Yes, sir, and the video is spectacular. Talk about science fiction.
Fantastic video. Here we got Lenin's tomb right here. Right, and over this yellow orangey building here, that is the Kremlin, of course, and that would be where Putin has his office, right in that building, right up there that we're looking at above the wall there of the Kremlin. So on the other side of that wall is the Kremlin. Just to give you an idea where we are, and it's absolutely stunning here. There's huge tourist activity because the ruble has crashed, And so this place is full of tourists, and it's a lot of fun. I can't tell your listeners and viewers to come on over. It's a heck of a lot of fun over here.
Well, you joined us from the Middle East, in Egypt during riots and martial law. You've joined us. That was declared martial law, folks, by the way. People say, martial law's never coming. Martial law's never coming. It's in like half the countries, basically, over there. You've been in Greece. You've been in everywhere. And now, literally, you can play the Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere, Man. You've got Stacy there. I believe that is, or I can't see her, somebody else there.
No, that's Stacy. Show the Oshunka. This is a Russian hat. Just got this. Beautiful.
So now you're in Moscow. Well, tell us what's happening in Moscow, and then let's get into the world economy.
Well, the world economy, in large part, as I said, the ruble is crashing. The oil market's crashing. China is crashing. They're going for a hard landing. And George Soros is threatening, I should say that the Chinese government has now come out and threatened George Soros and said, if you attack our currency, there will be consequences. So I think this is the first time that I can remember when a sovereign state has come out and threatened a speculator in this way. Of course, George Soros broke the Bank of England back in the early 90s and made a quick $1 billion, and he is a force to be reckoned with. But the currency wars are hot. They're getting hotter, and these volatility in the currency wars are absolutely getting outrageous. And funny enough, Bitcoin, I don't want to talk about Bitcoin right now, but just that it's one of the least volatile currencies when you compare it to, the ruble and the Brazilian real and the South African rand, all these currencies, Alex, by the way, they're all making new all-time highs against gold. So gold is now once again becoming a huge factor as really the go-to currency.
We're gonna get into this here with the amazing shots you're showing us as you walk towards. What is that? The old Imperial Palace? What's the thing that looks like
St. Basil's Cathedral?
Yeah, it looks like a Martian moon base has landed, or it looks like an alien spaceship.
This is kind of like the main symbol of Russia. In America, we might have the Grand Canyon or Mount Rushmore. This is kind of the main symbol of Russia right here in Red Square, and it's quite beautiful. When you're right here, it's stunning.
Well, I appreciate you marching towards it so we can see that. And the other time it's a nostril cam. But this is amazing. Max, let's get into George Soros finally biting off more than he could chew, trying to manipulate the Chinese into a crash, which he's been running around.
You like this shot better, Alex? It's not the nostril cam. How about this? Better?
I'm just having some humor. You're awesome. Yes, sir. Please continue. Continue with George Soros.
Yeah, well, Soros, he's an old currency war veteran. He's, of course, attacking China. But China is a really bad case right now. Their economy was built on $17 trillion or so of debt, and now it's all imploding. And this, of course, is driving up demand for oil. Oil is collapsing. And here's a remarkable thing that just happened today is that the bankers have come out, Deutsche Bank has come out and begged the European Central Bank not to engage in any more quantitative easing because they feel that this would only strengthen the dollar and that would make oil even weaker and that would send the global economy into even deeper depressionary, deflationary funk. So now you have a bank who's telling the Central Bank of Europe, the European Central Bank, stop printing money, stop quantitative easing. You're killing the global economy. So this is a remarkable turnaround because for 7 years, all they did was print money to bail out the bankers. Now even the bankers that get all the free money are begging them, stop it. You're destroying the global economy.
But if they do raise interest rates, as they're starting to do, that also puts things into a cardiac arrest. You've been pretty accurate so far. Your predictions were a little bit early, but they've come true. What's the next shoe to drop as we talk to you as you march towards the symbol of Russia there in Red Square?
Well, it's it's a continuation of more of the same. There's no ability to create enough growth to pay down any significant amount of debt, and therefore the debt implosion, the cyclone of debt is only getting worse, and it's pulling economies down. And we're starting to see volatility, and markets are down. China was down another 6%. China market's down something almost 50% from the highs, Alex. That's a huge drop down. we're seeing a lot of the distress in the high-end real estate market. We're seeing the top end of the real estate market now starting to collapse. So this is the post-2008 collapse that I predicted would happen 2 years ago. I was early. It's happening now. I don't think I was alone.
But it is happening the way you pretty much predicted it, which is a very, very hard to do. I mean, it's easy to say things are untenable. It's going to have some kind of collapse. But you did, predict how it would start unraveling very, very nicely.
Well, it's better to be a little early than too late. Because
that's true.
If you don't prepare yourself in time, it's going to be too late. In the case of gold, for example, if you don't have yourself positioned to buy gold, you're going to be out of luck. But so it's better to be early in this case. And all the forces that are coming together. I mean, most of the guests on your show have been talking about this. It's only on CNBC and these other outlets that they try to do a cheerleader for markets, even though it's highly destructive. But here in Russia, it's a very interesting story because the ruble has collapsed. But it's turned the local economy around because people are now turning inward and they're growing their own food now and they're exploring their domestic economy in new ways. And actually, even though you have a fall in the oil price in dollar terms, it has not fallen as much in ruble terms. So the ruble has actually gained purchasing power during this recent collapse.
Max, stay there. It's crystal clear now, and I hope during the break, if Stacey can do it, I mean, take a break if you need to, kind of pan around and show us this incredible, it's like HD now. Earlier it was a little bit pixelated. We're going to come back to you in red square as you talk about what's happening in the world economy, what you think is coming next, what you think is happening in the election, and other breaking things that are developing. And we're going to take some phone calls on just a whole bunch of different wild card issues straight ahead.
Wildfires, hurricanes, tornadoes, earthquakes, a crashing economy. Are you ready? At best, your local stores have a 3-day supply of food. Will your family have to fight over what's left? Are you willing to gamble your family's safety that it'll never happen to you? Be wise and be ready. With 25-year shelf life, Wise Food Storage. Wise Food Storage provides affordable, ready-made gourmet meals with a super long 25-year shelf life. Meals like pasta Alfredo, cheesy lasagna, breakfast, dessert, drinks, and snacks. Just add water and your family is eating delicious food instead of fighting for scraps in a food riot. Try it free. Order a no-obligation free sample meal delivered right to your front door. And for a limited time, get a 10% discount and free shipping on all orders. Once done, you're set for 25 years. Be wise and be ready with Wise Food Storage. Call for your free sample now. 800-803-5505. 800-803-5505. 800-803-5505.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Shower filters. We're introducing the best yet. The brand new ProPure ProMax high-performance shower filter. It removes and reduces over 200 contaminants while preserving a strong, powerful flow. This new 4-stage filtration process helps protect the largest organ in your body, your skin, from the unhealthy contaminants in the water. You can find more details on this amazing new filter and free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order your ProMax shower filter from ProPure today.
Chronic inflammation is now known to block your ability to repair and compromises your immune system, making you more vulnerable to all diseases. Since poor diet, injuries, or stress are all contributing factors, many people suffer from inflammation. Your body's #1 means of neutralizing inflammation and the pain that it may be causing is glutathione. Glutathione is the body's #1 peptide to neutralize free radicals and thus stop inflammation.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm 44 years old. For 10 years, I had been suffering from chronic pain in my abdomen and groin that radiated down into my feet. After 3 weeks on One World Way, the pain in my feet reduced by 50%, and the overall pain in my body reduced significantly as well. I ran out of One World Way, and the pain returned. I got another container, and again, after 3 weeks, the pain reduced significantly throughout my body. I'd highly recommend One World Way to anyone dealing with chronic pain due to inflammation.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
Something just happened that has explained why survival food is literally flying off the shelves and is sold out in many areas of the country. It caught me totally by surprise, and it involves FEMA. I couldn't believe FEMA tried this until I saw proof. Revealing their secret could land me in hot water, but I think you deserve to know exactly what they're doing. Watch the viral video at FEMA3.com before it disappears again. But be warned, it's really disturbing because the fact is they must know something we don't. Go to FEMA3.com to see the #1 item you should be hoarding and why supplies of this critical item are so low or even completely sold out at many stores across America. Don't miss out. Watch the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in recent days. Go to FEMA3.com and discover the #1 most critical item in a crisis. Watch the shocking video right now at FEMA3.com. Again, that's FEMA3.com.
We've got Kremlin police in the background as Max Kaiser hops up and down in the 17-degree temperature trying to stay warm. Max, what time is it there in Red Square in the capital of Russia, Moscow?
It's about 10:30 p.m. Been a beautiful evening here. And, yeah, we're in Red Square. And it's all happening right here, Alex. As you know, we came to you live from Cairo. We came to you live from Athens. And now we're coming to you live from Moscow. Have you seen all the crazy propaganda coming out of the United Kingdom against Russia lately and Vladimir Putin about this disgraced spy, Litvinenko, who, of course, found himself murdered by polonium-210 poisoning. And this rent-a-dredge in the UK decided that it all has to do with Putin. And this is the absolute pinnacle of hypocrisy, Alex, because here you have a government, the United Kingdom, who, if you recall, going back to the 70s, were murdering dozens of their own countrymen in Belfast, human rights lawyers and their associates getting slaughtered and murdered by the UK government. Or let's go back to Margaret Thatcher's day. Her entire front bench was caught in a pedophile scandal, raping children and murdering them. She knew it and used that information to rule as a dictator in the United Kingdom to put forth policies that were the same as social cleansing in the UK. That's Margaret Thatcher. Now we've got David Cameron and his austerity measures. People are killing themselves because of Cameron's austerity. He's
well, let's expand on that. We just had the head of all Russia's intelligence die mysteriously. There's clearly warfare going on. Soros is trying to overthrow and others Russia publicly. They're blowing up power plants in Ukraine. I mean, war crimes, and I'm not even defending Russia here, but it's so obvious that the West is starting a war, and then 10 years after the spy dies, who our sources say was really a double agent, and the West probably took him out, they're saying Putin's a murderer to try to bring in new sanctions. What are they hoping to do? Push his approval rating up even more?
Well, they're trying to, discredit Putin because, of course, he's the only one in Syria that is restoring any kind of order at all. He's making everyone look horrible, and so this is some kind of attempt to discredit the only credible statesman out there today who's doing things in the Middle East that the U.S. has been trying to do for years and has failed miserably to do. And I think they feel embarrassed by the presence of somebody who's actually getting stuff done. And so they're trying to discredit him. But this is a huge propaganda war. And the ability for the U.S. to engage in this is failing. I mean, RT, where I do my show, is growing by leaps and bounds. Ed Schultz has just got a new show in RT America. You know, people are coming over because they realize that RT is the last bastion of a free, independent.
Well, you got Larry King on there, and he's putting out Americana stuff. He's not like saluting the Pootie.
No, so the media tables are turning, and the U.S. the BBC is a shameless propaganda.
Hey, why do you think Al Jazeera just went down? I tell you, you talk about putting out party line. I mean, I know you worked there previously, but boy, why is Al Jazeera America shutting down, your view?
They tried to toe the line. They were much too conservative, and nobody wanted to watch them. We told them that they needed to be more like Fox News and less like the BBC. But they decided Al Jazeera wanted to be accepted. So they didn't do anything controversial whatsoever. They were very plain vanilla. It's like watching Walter Cronkite in 1965.
Yeah, exactly. You're actually on the big RT, which is in hotel rooms all over the world. It's in all of Europe. It's on broadcast TV in Europe. For folks that don't know, RT is now much bigger than CNN and all other Western media because people think it's more accurate. And I don't think it's perfect. I've seen some pro-Russia propaganda that's a little slanted, but most of it's pretty darn accurate compared to our media. What a revolutionary thought.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were here for the 10-year anniversary a couple of weeks ago, and Jesse Ventura was here, and a lot of folks were here, and Vladimir Putin gave a speech and basically just said, look, my job is to sit in the Kremlin and govern the country. Your job is to do television news. You do what you have to do, and I'll do what I got to do. The paths don't cross, and we have absolute freedom. That's why, I'll tell you something right now that most mainstream media won't tell you, that Deutsche Bank in Germany is the next Lehman Brothers. Okay, look at the stock price. It's down remarkably. It looks like a absolute cascading, rocket about to hit planet Earth in an enormous explosion. Deutsche Bank, they've got over $100 trillion in derivatives on their books. They're all horrible. They've got all this exposure to oil and gas. This bank is about to go under. But you won't hear this on any other mainstream media.
Stay there. This is huge. You've told us about so many things before they happen. We'll get the inside scoop with Max Kaiser. Take your phone calls and more straight ahead. I'm Alex Jones. This is The InfoWar, Infowars.com. They don't want that website getting out there, folks. They're going to a lot of trouble to try to block it. Don't let them win. Spread the word today. Send it out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Send our articles out.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
The water supply in Flint, Michigan is so unsafe that the state attorney general warned parents to keep children far from it, including a warning against bathing, reports Fox News. I would certainly not bathe a newborn or infant in Flint water, reported the AG at a news conference. He announced that a former prosecutor and a retired head of Detroit FBI would play key roles in an independent investigation into the lead-tainted water. The cash-strapped city switched from Detroit's municipal water system and began drawing from the Flint River in 2014. Residents have been urged to use bottled water and put filters on their faucets. City servants have stated that flushing all the contaminants out of the water would take time, and replacing the damaged pipes would cost as much as $1.5 billion, a price tag they say they can't afford. You can find more reports on Infowars.com. Go to the Alex Jones channel on YouTube to see our reports from Flint.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Hey, how you doing, Alex?
Good, brother.
Just recently started using your products. Everything you said about them's correct. Me and my wife both use a lot of them, and it's made a lot of changes in our lives here.
Well, thank you, brother. It's because it also funds our operation, but doing that, I know I've got to have the highest quality. Super Male Vitality was developed to activate your body's own natural processes instead of using synthetic chemicals.
We do the Super Male and the Super Female Vitality. Big changes, a lot of energy. We've gotten off of the cheap energy drinks, energy shots, saving a ton of money there.
Sourced from powerful organic herbs, harvested around the planet and then concentrated or maximum potency. They want to stun and dumb down, and energy drinks and stuff just cover that up for a while, but then burn you out, in my experience, whereas stuff that gets your glands naturally going goes right to the source. So it's pretty exciting, and I love it. Visit InfoWarsLife.com today to secure your super male vitality and other powerful products from InfoWars Life.
He aligns himself with the truth, and it's time for you to choose a side. You're listening to Alex Jones.
Fellow liberty-loving maniac, you can cut to him, he dances to the Gypsy Kings doing Hotel California. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Hotel California. It's okay, the original band that did it, but who does the Hotel California? Is that the Eagles or something? It is. Let me tell you, though, the Gypsy Kings do it. It's good. Let's crank it up for a minute. That's the big international TV star all over the world, Max Kaiser, acting like a Warner Brothers cartoon character. But that's good, because we're just real, folks. You know, he's teleprompter free on his show. So am I. See, because you're supposed to have analysts and pundits and researchers that actually know what they're talking about and don't need a script. I mean, we have the documents, we have the articles, we have the numbers. In fact, you'd never go in any place and see like 300 news articles in front of somebody. I've actually looked and scanned through almost all these stacks today. I got a few I didn't get to. I mean, there's so much going on. Before we get into the economy, Lehman Brothers, Part 2, all of that with you, Max, I want to hit some of the other stuff, and then after we cover that, take some calls. What do you make of what's happening with Hillary, what's happening with Trump? Do you think Clinton's rapes and settling rapes and women coming out saying they fear for their lives? We'll put drudgereport.com on screen and show folks where they can click through and read that article at Infowars.com. I mean, is there anything that can unseat Hillary Rodham Clinton? And out of all the players, you know, Bernie Sanders talks about inequity but doesn't tell people why it's crony capitalism. You know, Hillary, we know, is the consummate insider saying she's not. You know, what do you think of Ted Cruz? What do you think of Donald Trump? What's your take on election 2016 from Red Square?
Well, Alex, you know, we entered really a vortex a few weeks ago. The event horizon was crossed when Donald Trump was on Alex Jones. And what I mean by that is you've been in the trenches for years developing this audience of an alternative media with an alternative voice. And here's a presidential candidate who realizes that mainstream media is a complete waste of time, and he goes on the Alex Jones show. Now, Bernie Sanders, on the other side of the aisle, also realizes that he can reach out with, you know, with an audience of alternative media as well, and he gets enormous traction. But this is a presidential election. We're going to sweep out all the old, and we're bringing in the new. I think Hillary Clinton is toast, and I think that Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. 64% now Republicans think that Trump's going to be the nominee. Personally, I'd like to see Trump get in the White House because I think he would be the right billionaire at the right time to kick out the other billionaires. Remember, Vladimir Putin had to kick out the kleptocrats when he came into office in the early 90s, and the Russian economy benefited as a result. Putin is anti-kleptocrat. He's anti-oligarch. Same thing with Trump. If Trump gets in, he will kick out the other oligarchs, the Michael Bloombergs, the billionaires that are ruling and destroying America, the Koch brothers. He'll get rid of them. That's my thought.
And by the way, he said he likes Putin and what he's done, kicking out the cronies. And so I don't usually say man on a white horse, you know, I want some guy, strong man, to save me. We're already having them try to give people martial law, and no one cares. I mean, we've reached such a crisis point that we know Jeb Bush and Hillary ain't it. I mean, you know, there's no way Trump could possibly be. And, you know, I don't want to say behind-the-scenes stuff, but Trump claims he's aware of almost everything, basically.
Look, we had in America the robber barons who were anxious to destroy America, and Teddy Roosevelt assumed the White House, and he became the trust buster, and he swept out the plutocrats.
The Sherman Antitrust Act of 1906.
And he broke up the oil companies, Standard Oil, et cetera. A lot of people in his class thought he betrayed his class because he was a rich guy, the Roosevelt family, very rich Fifth Avenue family. But he assumed power and he kicked out the oligarchs, the robber barons, as they were called. And that's what America needed. That's what I thought Obama was going to do when he came into office. I thought he was going to, throw down and get rid of a lot of these crony capitalists.
Well, I wouldn't even care. I mean, I'd care less if we had some robber barons that actually wanted to hire people like Henry Ford and actually said, I pay people so they can buy a car. I mean, it's like these are anti-free market. I mean, look at Obama going to Africa saying, you can't have cars, you can't have air conditioning. Why not say we're going to develop clean cars and air conditioning? I mean, just to say it from Air Force One on a red carpet.
Well, what we have in this century is the billionaire class that uses financial products and financialization. So it's different than Henry Ford, who manufactured cars, and there's something tangible about that, and it was a manufacturing base. But here you have billionaires that have gotten their billions through flipping paper, through stocks and bonds and financialization and derivatives. And that adds absolutely nothing to the economy. And they're entrenched in the system along with the central bank. But as I said earlier, it's remarkable that Deutsche Bank and other bankers are begging Mario Draghi at the European Central Bank to stop printing money because he's doing more harm than good. I've been saying it on your show for several years now that printing money causes deflation. It doesn't fight deflation. Now, Deutsche Bank and other bankers are agreeing with what I've been saying on your show for years. All the money printing, all it does is supports the zombie banks who use all the free money to just roll over all of the debt that's no good. It's junk debt. They should be allowed to fail if, in fact, this was a free market. But by keeping them propped up with all the money printing, they are a huge impediment for economic growth. And now even the bankers themselves realize that they don't want the free money anymore. It's just killing the economy.
Sure. What are the next triggers? And then I want to get into some hardcore news and take calls. What, in your view?
The next triggers are in the oil market. What's remarkable is that if you look at the price of oil, it's gone down. But the transportation index, which is an index of stocks tied to transportation, it's also gone down. But usually if the price of oil goes down, transportation companies go up or people benefit from a lower gas price. But now we're seeing lower oil prices trigger a financial collapse because all the oil is backed by junk bonds. And those junk bonds are now all deflating in value. They're all crashing. So the lower oil price is not helping the economy at all.
Let's go further. As the oil companies got caught by the AP in 2000 on a 6-year plan that went back to 94, the Big Ten kept meeting in New York and in other U.S. cities. In their lawsuit, they got the documents saying we're going to have wildcatters in the future. They predicted the shale market coming up, the tar sands. They said, we've got to get fake environmentalists that we fund to shut down. This is in the documents, to shut down all these new refineries and don't let new ones get opened. So even if the Saudis or somebody have a war, and they saw this 17, 18 years ago, and lower prices, we will create an artificial bottleneck. So gas should be like $1 a gallon now. That would actually help the economy. It hurts a bunch of other areas of the economy to have oil that low, but it should be translating like $1.10, okay, or $1.20. No, it's not. So we're getting both. Oil's really plunging in the real market, but by the time we get it, it's so rigged, we're still paying way more than we should because the oil companies have the refineries, and so it doesn't matter if there's a glut. They've suspended reality yet again, Kaiser. A double screw job.
2 points. Number one, you made there in terms of the gas price. But the important thing to remember is that behind this industry is a structured financial market of bonds that are all now unable to pay their interest payments, and they're all collapsing. So this is causing a chain reaction.
And all these other loans to the wildcatters are going belly up.
Deutsche Bank is a huge lender to the oil business, and that's why it's going down. Now, you mentioned the shale industry for a second. The shale industry in America was not even profitable when oil was $80 a barrel. The whole shale so-called revolution was a hoax because the life of an average shale project does not last long enough to pay the debt that you need.
It was an investor hoax.
It is a hoax. It was cash flow negative from day one. And that's when oil was $80 a barrel. Now with oil at $30 a barrel, not only are you getting a negative cash flow on all the shale rigs in America, but all the junk bonds and now all the banks that lent, like a Deutsche Bank or all these money center banks that lent into this hoax, they're now collapsing. So it doesn't matter if gas price goes to 20 cents a gallon. If in fact the credit market seize up completely like in 2008, which is now going to happen again, that's the least of your worry is that you're going to pay.
And then the property tax market goes belly up because they're not getting all that oil and gas money. It is
because they'll bring in capital controls, bail-ins, bank seizures, money seizures. So what you're paying 50 cents a gallon? If the bank just took all the money out of your account like they did in Cyprus, it doesn't matter.
And so you're saying that's coming.
Took all your money.
That brings me to the next point. We played this video twice. I'm not going to play it again right now. We'll play it next hour with David Knight's in. But video, Senator Warren's authorization to use military force bill is declaration of international martial law. And it's Mitch McConnell, the Republicans, are handing Obama and the next president what even Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy calls a declaration of international martial law. The resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution. Then we have Ron Paul saying the same thing. We said this last week. He said this last week. I didn't even know he said it till last night. No coverage, Max Kaiser. That's two big stories. The biggest War Powers Act, bigger than World War II, unlimited, insane, and it's not even in the news. I hope you cover it on your big RT show. I hope this gets out. This should be big news for the Russians right here with NATO knocking on your door.
Well, yeah, NATO is the aggressor, and, part of the problem is that Victoria Nuland, her husband, is a lobbyist for Monsanto. Monsanto, the genetically modified seeds, they want to get into Ukraine. Vladimir Putin, who works right over there in the Kremlin, has said that he doesn't want genetically modified seeds anywhere near Russia. He thinks that it's a disaster.
He wants to be the global leader in organic food.
That's what he says. So that's part of this whole Ukraine situation is that Victoria Nuland, who famously got caught talking on the phone, organizing a coup in the Ukraine, her husband works for Monsanto, basically. And so that is causing this huge tension. And the NATO is really the aggressor in all of this. And if you look at why the story you mentioned before, the War Powers Act, et cetera, the news is not being covered. If you look at this, I'm a little older than you, Alex. So I don't know, you probably, I was alive during the 1960s, during the Vietnam War. And, they used to see the bodies on the news come back from war. You used to see shots from the actual front line.
Yeah, Walter Cronkite said we had a right to see it.
Right. And then one of the lessons that was learned on that war is never show the consequences of war anymore. Don't show the bodies. Don't show the coffins. And it's very rarely do we see that anymore because it's become sanitized. Americans don't understand that if they organize bombs dropping all over the Middle East in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, and 1 million or 2 million migrants show up on Europeans' doorstep because of their actions, that a lot of people are going to not like America and the United Kingdom for bombing those people to causing that migration crisis. And that has a ripple effect. And this is where countries like Russia are stepping in and saying, look, let's be adults about this. Let's offer some conversation, some diplomacy. And he's hated for it.
Sure. Will there be a Walter Cronkite moment in America where even the elite see the images of children running burned by napalm and say, has the war been lost? Is it time to stop this? I mean, is there some point where people finally go, enough is enough? But you said it. We're not seeing those images other than shows like mine and yours and, the Drudge Report or whatever. And so, but there is a shift happening where we now in many cases have more listeners and viewers than, CNN and MSNBC combined. I mean, I hate to say that. It's kind of a weird thought that we have 28 million viewers and listeners that come through every week one way or another. You have tens of millions as well. I mean, Max, my God, you're on every continent on broadcast TV and cable. I mean, that's got to shake up the system. I know they're trying to shut down RT. Congress and the State Department and Hillary have been calling to ban your show in the United States.
Right. They tried to shut down RT. They shut down Press TV in the UK. They took them off the satellite. But you ask what's that moment that's going to trigger a kind of a Vietnam. Remember in the Vietnam War, you had the Kent State shooting, which was galvanized the youth movement. And really, it was a turning point in the anti-war protests of that era. I think what's going on in Flint, Michigan right now has the potential to galvanize this generation to understand that their government is trying to kill them, Flint, Michigan is a third world hellhole where people are dying because of the local politicians taking huge bribes from other industrialists and kleptocrats, and they don't care at all about the local population. They're killing people. I mean, Michael Moore, who, okay, is not well liked by many folks who think he's too liberal or what have you, but he's been documenting Flint, Michigan for many, many years, and he's right there on the scene, and he's providing those images that we're talking about and providing good journalism.
Sure, well, I mean, our journalists have been there. We have the HD drone footage. We talked to the locals. Leanne McAdoo and Mr. Zimmerman just got back just a few days ago, and they said it's over the top. The point is, it's the infrastructure falling apart. It's NAFTA, it's GATT, it's globalism is the reason that's all imploding. And my problem is a Michael Moore or a Bernie Sanders sell this pie-in-the-sky stuff that'll fix it when the problem's crony capitalism and globalism, not capitalism. Capitalism produces the best water treatment plants, the best civilizations. They're scapegoating capitalism, and that's my problem.
I agree. I would agree with that point. But also to your point, you did have reporters on the ground in Flint. But the infrastructure, as we're saying, in these towns, in these cities, is really collapsing, and the results are really sickening to many people. And I think that might be a kind of call to arms moment where the population of America realizes that, you know,
that's
we're not safe in our own towns.
That's what began to bring down the old Soviet Union, with stuff like Chernobyl blowing up. And you know, we see more and more of our reactors leaking. They just cover it up. So I think more and more in the West, we're going to have Chernobyl moments. And there's just going to be a certain point when our kids are dying around us that we're just going to be done with the central government and its red carpets and, you know, all its bull about the Oscars and all this other diversion. We're sick of the Oscars. We're sick of it all. We're sick of Obama. We're sick of the Republicans. We're sick of you people. Let's go ahead and take a call from George in Connecticut. You're on the air with Max Kaiser. By the way, again, your senator is saying we're going under martial law. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm glad he's saying something positive lately. Anyway, Max, I'm wondering what's the best place to. I have an IRA, but the problem is where the heck do you put your investment in, and so it's safe. I thought of gold, something like Peter Schiff's idea of putting it into a solid gold, not just the paper, because the paper is so manipulated. Or are there any other recommendations you can possibly make?
Yeah, Max, what are you doing?
Well, like Gerald Celente says, I don't give personal financial advice. And Celente says he buys gold for his golden years. And gold is, of course, making new all-time highs in many currencies around the world. It's the dollar has not made a new all-time high against the dollar yet, but I think it will. And I've been saying it on your show for years. I mean, this is the last man standing.
Well, Kaiser, let me get hard on this point. And I appreciate your call, George. Great point. And we're going to go to callers. I'm doing this break here, skipping it because this is so important. Look, Harvey Dent, or Harry Dent, not the guy from Batman, but the former Bain turnaround expert.
Yep.
He's been accurate in a lot of predictions. So has Schiff, so have you, but you guys have all differ on the future. I know gold's real. I know it's not just a commodity. It's used as an industrial metal. The Chinese, the Indians, others are buying it. Governments, the University of Texas is buying it. I know it's an emergency hedge. If everything collapses, people get what it is. So is silver. And I'm into physically holding. I've never sold any of it that I've got. Not the stuff I bought at $300 an ounce, and the stuff I bought at $1,400 an ounce. I never bought once it went above that. So I'm comfortable, in my decision, because I mean, I know somewhere down the road, 5-10 years, it's going to go stratospheric, because you can look at the bubbles. You can look at, it won't just be deflation forever. It'll be inflation in the currencies, even if there's deflation in the real economy and depression. But, I mean, so you and Dent, I both respect both of you. You're both really smart cookies. He's saying it's going to be low for 10 years. It's gone up a little bit. But overall, he says it's going to be down for 10 years. You say it's going back up. So debate that right here.
Sure. Look, Harry Dent has been really good in terms of the last 5 years. If you, with all the people that you just mentioned, he's probably got the hottest hand in terms of calling deflation, where everyone else has really been saying inflation. He was very good to say deflation. All commodities have been deflating. Oil's deflating. And he includes gold in that basket. But my response would be, look at gold outside of just the U.S. dollar, because if you look at it through other currencies, it's reacting very, very well. It's hitting new all-time highs, number one.
Sure, so outside of the rigged economy, it's doing well.
Well, on a global basis, it's responding well. And the second point I would make is that one aspect that Mr. Dent does not get into that I think is worthy of consideration that would change the dynamic pretty dramatically is if a country like Russia or China decides to partially back their currency with gold. So gold is once again monetized. Then it's really a different paradigm at that point. And you'll see, I think, gold resume its long-standing.
Okay, let's jump.
Role.
I want to go to more calls, but a few other things you personally are doing.
I'm just sticking to precious metals, as I've said before. I mean, I love Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is a huge value reserve. I had the Bitcoin Capital. We've raised, since I was on your show last time, we've raised over $400,000 in the last few weeks since I was on your show for Bitcoin Capital. So people are putting money into Bitcoin. They get a daily dividend in Bitcoin, and we're putting money to work in new emerging companies in Bitcoin. It's for qualified investors only, and it's similar to gold in that it has attributes like gold, but it's obviously not for everybody. It's a very special type of consideration. But other than that, it's about I listen to Salente when he's on your show too. I mean, he's dead right. Get rid of your debt and prepare for the worst.
All right, fair enough, Max Keiser. We're going to play this little 3-minute response for Dent when he's on this Thursday, and then have a serious discussion about this to really suss out for folks to make decisions. Let's go to some phone calls here again. Let's go ahead and talk to Sherry in Texas. You're on the air. Go ahead, Sherry.
Thank you, Alex. Listen, everything you're saying, Mr. Keiser, I agree, but I want to look at it for a second from a standpoint of socialism as I see it. And the word fettered, I hear fettered referred to restricted, and it suggests unfair treatment. And fettered has been used to describe democratic socialism. But if we restrict banks, that's not unfair. If we restrict predatory lending, there's nothing unfair about that. The better word is trammeled, and I want to just throw that in. Trammeled is like throwing a net over a wild animal like the Federal Reserve, and I have a problem. The only dictator I can see is the Federal Reserve, not Bernie Sanders.
No, I hear you. I appreciate your call. I get what you're saying. We're all worried about a dictatorship. We have the private Federal Reserve saying it's above the law on PBS and rules everything, screwing us over, and it's privately owned. And we've been under it for 102 years. Max Keiser.
If I understand the question, is kind of asking why would I lean toward Trump and not toward Sanders? Is that a fair? Is that kind of the question?
Sure. She's just saying we're already under a dictatorship, so why not just get a different flavor of it?
Well, it's tough to unpack what the caller was saying there. He's talking about socialism and what fettered or unfettered. I mean, can you break it down for me what that question was more specifically?
I think she's saying we're already under a form of socialism. I'd call it fascism.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if the question is, are we? The central banks have an enormous amount of centralized power, and this is not good, and it's causing a lot of damage to the point where the banks themselves are trying to dismantle these bankers because they're causing this disruption, this deflation. So.
Sure. I'm going to go to Tyrone in a minute, but I want to go to John real quick just to talk about it. They are saying the new X-Files character is mainly based on me, but the material they cover is going to be based on InfoWars stories like human-animal hybrids, which is admitted in the news, but it doesn't get a lot of traction, and then it's in a fiction movie. So let's get John's take on that. John in Michigan, go ahead.
Hi, Alex. Yeah, I just think it's really dangerous that they're going to fictionalize all these facts, and people are going to watch X-Files, and then they're going to hear someone talking about something and be like, oh, yeah, I saw that on X-Files. Just like people are like, oh, yeah, I saw that in a movie. Oh, yeah, I saw that on YouTube. It can't be real.
That's a great point. What do you think's behind Chris Carter coming out saying, I like Alex Jones. I think world government's a real threat. I don't think he's right-wing. He's libertarian. I like him. We've exchanged email. He says he admires me, and we're going to hook up and talk soon. But, I mean, what do you think that sounds like, Max Keiser? That's one of the biggest TV shows in U.S. history. What does that signify?
It signifies that you're winning. That could be one of the choices here. Could be that the message that you put forward is now become unarguable. That's people are starting to understand it. You're winning. That's the point of it all.
Well, we're winning, brother.
Yeah, I mean, this is the system. You know what I've said all along for people who watch your show, and they say that guy sounds a bit, you know, like he's not. You know, I say wait 6 months, because the stuff he's saying today, 6 months from now, will be part of the mainstream news cycle. You have to listen to your show for at least 6 months before you can say anything about it. Listen to Alex Jones for 6 months, and then you'll understand what millions of people around the world understand. Is that what you're saying today doesn't sound like it fits today, but it does in 6 months.
Wow, what a plug. Do 5 more minutes with us. I know you're freezing your butt off at almost 11.
Yeah, I'm starting to get cold now.
11 o'clock, 5 more minutes. I want to come back because we have callers like Tyrone wants to talk Bitcoin with you and Supreme Court justices and more. Thank you, John, from Michigan. You know, I think it's a mixed bag, this X-Files thing, but it does signify that they can't ignore the zeitgeist. Back in 70 seconds. By the way, I didn't plug this hour. Huge specials in today. Free shipping, a bunch of other stuff, InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLife.com, 15% off X2. And your support's absolutely needed, folks. Our bills are huge. InfoWarsLife.com.
Radio Network.
Super Male Vitality is InfoWarsLife.com's #1 selling product for a good reason. It works. Go to InfoWarsLife.com today and read the testimonials for yourself. There are thousands of them with an average voting score at an unprecedented 4.8. It is concentrated herbs and natural organic compounds known to energize the body's natural processes that are blocked by estrogen mimickers and other toxic elements in the food chain. Super Male Vitality from InfoWarsLife.com has sold out multiple times in the last 3 months. To fix that problem, we have now produced the biggest and most concentrated, high-quality batch of Super Male Vitality in the product's history. Our new ultra-strength formula is even stronger. Check out the third-party reviews and informational videos at InfoWarsLife.com. Now it's time to get your body in balance and fight back. I'm Alex Jones for Super Male Vitality and InfoWarsLife.com, and I salute you, our supporters.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
The Genesis Communications Radio Network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
All right, folks. He is in Red Square with Stacy, running camera with a Skype feed, maxkaiser.com. We got loaded phones for him, but we got David Knight coming up with huge news in the next hour. It says, final warning, his battery could die any second. A final comment, Max, and of course you're freezing to death as well, and then we'll start trying to take a call for you, but it may cut out. Go ahead, Max Kaiser in Red Square, Moscow.
Yeah, well, Alex, thanks for having me on. And I don't know if you're up for it or not, but I'd love to have you on my show again. You know, you've been very standoffish. We've been begging you to come on, and you're like, no. I only talk to Donald Trump now. I'm Alex Jones. I run Austin, Texas. But if you can, you know, come down to my level just as a favor, I would love to have you on again.
Max, that's ridiculous. And you know that I've actually asked to come on yours. I just have to get up at 6 a.m. when you tape because you're in England.
Get up out of bed, man. You need to get up out of bed. Have your coffee and a donut or whatever they have there in Austin. What do they have there in Austin? A triple shot of tequila and
only on Sunday morning. I'm serious. That's Jameson's in the morning, tequila in the evening. You got to get this straight.
Oh, right. Of course. Okay. Very good. Excellent.
You know, that's what they call water around here is Patron. But I'm friends with DeJoria, so I got to support him. No, seriously. Expanding on all this, this is a big year, obviously. I mean, you've been saying that. What do you say now? And then I'm going to take a call.
Well, this is the year that things are unraveling. So, yeah, I was 2 years too early, but I'd rather be 2 years too early than 1 day too late.
Yeah, but things were already collapsing around the world before that. Just now the con.
I mean, the solutions of 2009 to print $15 to $20 trillion, I've been saying now for 7 years, was not going to work, as many people have. It would create another huge collapse, and I thought that collapse would have started by now. Now it's starting. So. That's the point. The point is that all the solutions never worked. We never got the GDP growth. It was Harry Dent-like deflation. Yes, that's right. But I still am very positive on gold for the reasons that I have suggested.
But they're out of bullets with weird, screwy manipulations. They're starting to run out of bullets.
They're completely out of bullets, except for maybe one where they should shoot themselves in the head.
Just to be official, you pretty much are endorsing Trump overall?
I prefer Trump, yes.
Well, that's news. Famous stockbroker, author, TV host Max Keiser, known to be a little bit more liberal, endorses Donald Trump. We got to get that on the Nightly News tonight. Thank you, my friend, for being on with us. Let's take one call. Tyrone in Colorado. Max Keiser on Bitcoin cryptocurrency. Go ahead, Tyrone.
Yeah, guys, I just wanted to say that I think Max has a lot to offer and to speak on the re-securitization of the world using cryptocurrencies, because we can no longer trust anybody. The Fed is dead, and trillions are disappearing overnight, and it's going to be 2008 again, and we need to re-securitize our natural capital in this world. I'm from Colorado. We have $1 billion of cash floating around Colorado that they're trying to put back in banks, and we're trying very hard for them not to put this money back in banks.
Oh, yeah, they've got the resources all locked up. They're screwing us over. So what's the comment or question for Keiser?
How do we reboot securities and exchange, securities and bonds?
Great question, Tyrone. We got to jump. Max?
Well, you mentioned it with Bitcoin, or what's called blockchain.
All right, his battery went out, folks. That is live feed. They kept saying for 10 minutes it's been flashing last warning, there's no bars. Done. Finale. Complete. Over. But the show's not over. I'm sure we'll get to Ronnie, Mike, and Carson. David Knight is coming up. He's in the Situation Room. I'm in the War Room. Coming up, Mitch McConnell spurring the AUMF, total martial law. That's a senator saying that. We'll play it coming in the studio. He's going to play it again for new folks that tuned in. I didn't play it last hour. We're going to play it again, the Connecticut senator. I'm saying total martial law. I mean, we're not... Seriously, folks, what I told you last week, he'd already said it. I didn't know it. That's because it's what it is. It's like, you see a green frog? What is that? It's a green frog. You see martial law? What is it? It's a, rose is still a rose by any other name. Canadian International Trade Minister Freeland inadvertently admits that the TPP is a treaty. We've got Internet of Things, of infrastructure of tyranny, Bloomberg entry into the system, Planned Parenthood going after whistleblowers, people being indicted. The governor came out and said it's shameful what's happened in Houston. It's politically motivated, going after these folks that are exposing evil activities. I mean, if selling baby parts isn't evil, I don't know what is.
A Texas grand jury investigating the allegations that a Planned Parenthood clinic in Houston illegally sold the tissue of aborted fetuses has cleared the organization of wrongdoing and instead indicted the two pro-life activists behind the undercover videos that sparked the probe, reports the Houston Chronicle. The secret videographers were both indicted on charges of tampering with a government record, a second-degree felony that carries a punishment of up to 20 years in prison. The district attorney announced the surprising indictments Monday after a 2-month investigation. The probe began after the Center for Medical Progress, an anti-abortion group, released footage of the Houston clinic as part of a series of videos showing Planned Parenthood officials casually discussing the methods and cost of preserving fetal tissue. As a side note, one of the women said she wanted to use proceeds to purchase a Lamborghini. You can find more reports on Infowars.com.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more focused, less brain fog, more energy, and it's because of Brain Force.
There's always hidden additives in your food. Even organic food has hidden additives. Staring at the computer all day, working, doing good, you're still damaging your brain. Ultimately, we've all been dumbed down to some degree.
It doesn't have stimulants. It doesn't have garbage in it. It has natural things that do it clean. You will find Brain Force and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Make the choice for health and vitality. Get InfoWars Life Winter Sun, a revolutionary type of vitamin D3. Winter Sun is a premium quality vitamin D3 nutritional supplement. Although there are many vitamin D3 supplements on the market, most are vitamin D2, which is inferior to vitamin D3. This need prompted our research journey to create the most powerful vitamin D3 product on the market. The research and development took over 2 years, but the result, as verified by independent laboratories, is the best vegan vitamin D3 product in the world. Read the facts at InfoWarsLife.com about Winter Sun Vitamin D3. Winter Sun Vitamin D3 supports the immune system, organ health, bone health, nervous system support. Vitamin D supports our memory and brain function, something the globalists are targeting. Now is the time to secure your high-quality supply of vitamin D3. Visit InfoWars.com today or call 888-253-3139.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Welcome back to The Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host for this fourth hour, January 26, 2016. What I'm going to talk about today is the open betrayal of the Constitution in terms of the fast tracking of the dissolution of Congress. Now, we've talked earlier today, and Alex has played it several times. I'm going to play it again. This authorization for the use of military force, and the senator who last week, as it was being introduced, said this is a call for international martial law. He said, I understand that we need to move after ISIS. I support that goal as well, but this is the wrong way to go about it. It's a way to go about it that voids the Constitution. And it's not just that. I've got a clip that I'm going to play before I play that clip. On the same day, another senator, this is a Democrat senator. By the way, the guy who opposed that was a Democrat senator from Connecticut. Good for him. Good for him. And it's very important when we see somebody who goes against their party leaders for principle, for the Constitution. And I want to say that we need to strongly stand behind him on this particular issue. It's not to say that we're going to give him a blank check on every particular issue and a blanket endorsement for him. We don't ever do that with anybody. Understand that. We pick people issue by issue and say, I support him on this issue. I don't support him over here. And we need to criticize people when they do the wrong thing. We need to pat them on the back when they do the right thing. Now, here's a senator who does the wrong thing, Senator Barbara Mikulski. She's been there forever in Maryland. And when they're talking about, and this is again on Wednesday, the same day that Mitch McConnell is introducing this fast-track authorization to do an international martial law, to give the president carte blanche to go anywhere for as long as he wishes, without any justification, without any authorization from Congress, no time limit, no constraints of any time, geography, or anything, okay? We're just creating a Caesar here. We're crossing the Rubicon. On that same day that that is introduced, we have Barbara Mikulski say this about Obama's executive orders.
Mr. Chairman, I look forward, though, not to me talking and listening to myself, but listening to the Attorney General and listening to this wonderful panel that you've invited to participate today. So let's solve the problem. Let's not get involved in constitutional arguments, and let's help our American people be safe and secure in their home, their neighborhood, their school, and their house of worship.
Let's not get involved in constitutional arguments, and let's help our American people be safe and secure.
Do you think you're going to be safe and secure if you don't have a Constitution that protects your rights? If you have no legal rights that are respected by the government, the whole point of the Constitution was to secure liberty for us. That was the fundamental purpose of the people who created this country. You can see that in the Declaration of Independence. You can see it in the first 10 amendments to the Constitution to clarify. After they set up this document, they said, you know, maybe we haven't made it clear enough that the federal government is not going to be the ruler of us, that we're giving it limited powers, that we're reserving powers to ourselves. So let's make that very clear. And so they enumerate that in 8 amendments, specific things that they're protecting and laying that out. And then they put in 2 more, the 9th and the 10th, to make it abundantly clear that if we haven't expressly given you this power, then you don't have it. But of course, Barbara Mikulski says, well, you know, let's not have Let's not get involved in any constitutional arguments. Let's just make ourselves safe and secure. That is the lie that they continually sell you as part of the national security state. So now let's play on the same day. This is a reaction to what was also introduced that same day by Mitch McConnell, a Republican, who introduced this bill for international martial law. And this is what again, a Democrat senator opposed that. Let's hear what he had to say again.
Speak very briefly about a resolution that the majority leader introduced, I believe, earlier today. This is an authorization for military force, is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the United States Constitution. Let's be clear about that. It is essentially a declaration of international martial law, a sweeping transfer of military power to the president that will allow him or her to send U.S. troops almost anywhere in the world for almost any reason with absolutely no limitations. It's safe to say that this resolution is the wrong way to authorize war against ISIS. The language of this resolution is dangerous and it is unprecedented.
Okay, so he is making a very clear point. Ron Paul made the same point. If you take a look at the article that we have on this, Ron Paul says, and we quote him in the article where we cover that video is embedded. You can see the entire speech if you go to Infowars.com, where he says this resolution is a total rewrite of the War Powers Clause of the Constitution. Let's be clear about that. That's Democrat Senator Chris Murphy. That is SJ Resolution 29. He says it is essentially a declaration of international martial law. And, of course, what are they doing with it? They are fast-tracking it. Where have we heard that before? We've heard the word fast-track used over and over again, haven't we? If they can't do a document dump of a several thousand-page bill and say, we've only got 24 hours to do it, we've got to pass this omnibus bill, or the government is going to shut down. There's no time to read this. We did it with Obamacare, and we have done it repeatedly with Boehner and the rest of these people. Dumping this out, not giving anybody time to take a look at it. And, of course, that's precisely what they're going to do with the trade deals that are going to be hitting the Congress very shortly because this has been floating around. They said, we finished this. They did that back, I think it was in December. They said they had finished it. And we're just waiting for that to be introduced. And, of course, they have already said they're going to fast-track this. They are going to do the same thing in terms of the Constitution, ignoring it, eviscerating it. And this is Congress doing it to itself. Imagine if we had a King George III that dissolved the American legislature or dissolved Parliament, or we had a czar who dissolved the Duca, okay? We got the Congress who's doing it to themselves. They're eviscerating their own powers. They have passed all of their legislating powers, their power to tax, their power to write laws. They have passed that off to the bureaucracies. They're proud of that. 81,000 pages of legislation passed by the bureaucracy just last year, a new record. But, of course, they've been hitting at about 79,000, 80,000 pages of new rules and regulations each year, draconian rules and regulations with no wiggle room. Without having to find you guilty of a crime, they can impose excessive fines, violating every one of the articles of the Constitution. We said we had a revolution in this country because we did not want taxation without representation. Well, I don't want legislation and taxation without representation. We have a swarm of officers who are harassing our people and eating out their substance. Does that sound familiar? That's the beginning of the Declaration of Independence. That's what we have to stop. So when we look at this fast track, we've been sold this as a deal. We've been told it's an agreement. It's a partnership. Remember, the NAFTA was a North American Free Trade Agreement. The TPP and the TTIP are transatlantic and trans-Pacific partnerships. Whenever they talk about them, they love to talk about them being a deal. But guess what? They're treaties. A treaty is an agreement between two or more countries that is about economics or other issues. If you look it up in the dictionary, the very first thing they say is about economics. That's the very first definition they come up with. So it was interesting yesterday when I saw this article in the Drudge Report linking to the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, CBC, and out of Canada, they say Canada will sign the TPP trade deal February the 4th, but ratification is not certain. Now, this is the person who is the international trade representative for Canada, and she says, signing does not equal ratifying. Signing is simply a technical step in the process, allowing the TPP text to be tabled in the Canadian Parliament for consideration, for debate, before any final decision is made. And they even say in the text of this CBC article, but when it comes to ratification of the 12-country treaty, this is a treaty. How are treaties passed in the Constitution? You have to have 2/3 majority of the Senate to pass a treaty. They don't have that. So what do? They vote and they pass a law between the Senate and the Congress saying, we're going to have a TPA, a Trade Promotion Authority. We are going to ignore the requirements for a treaty to be ratified under the Constitution. And what we're going to say is there's going to be no debate. There'll be no amendments. We will have 20 hours of discussion max, and then it's going to be a straight up and down simple majority vote of this document that was created by multinational corporations, that our elected representatives had nothing to do with writing, that our elected representatives were forbidden from telling the public about, and they, with the exception of Senator Sessions, they all shut up and fell in line. That is disgusting, and you ought to be disgusted about that too. There's a half dozen senators who voted against the TPA, against the Trade Promotion Authorization. But now it is there. And when we see senators who are running for president, now Rand Paul voted against it twice. He didn't say, he didn't oppose it on the fact that it was a treaty and that they were openly voting to violate the constitutional process. They can't do that. They can't do that. They have to amend the Constitution if they're going to change that. Otherwise, they're just violating their oath to the Constitution and openly declaring that they are vassals of the corporate states. And that's what you need to understand. Now, Ted Cruz voted once to support eviscerating the Constitution as far as that goes, and then he voted against it, but not saying that he had any specific problems with the process. He had no problem violating the Constitution, just as he has no problem violating the Constitution's requirements for citizenship. Marco Rubio, who also has no problems violating the Constitution's requirement for natural-born citizen, he is an anchor baby. He's not a natural-born citizen, and we've talked about this before. I won't go into that again. But, of course, he voted for it to pass this. So that's the situation we've got. People running for presidency who could care less about the Constitution. So we've got an introduction of an authorization for the use of military force that is international martial law. We've got a senator who says, let's not get caught up in constitutional arguments. Let's just make everybody safe and secure with these executive orders from Obama. And then we have them denying that a treaty is a treaty so they can get this thing rammed through for their corporate masters. Congress is dissolving itself. They have given all of their powers to the corporations and to the permanent bureaucracies that persist, just like the lifetime appointments of the Supreme Court. Stay with us. I'll be right back.
This announcement is for every man tired of waking up multiple times a night to use the bathroom. By calling now, preferred customers can get a free bottle of GoFlow Prostate with ingredients shown to help reduce those annoying nighttime bathroom visits. The GoFlow Prostate Challenge is available by responding to this advertisement. If lines are busy, try again. Because the GoFlow Free Bottle Challenge is exclusive, it's not available in drugstores. GoFlow Prostate was formulated by Dr. Mitchell Fleischer with ingredients clinically studied to support an aging prostate. GoFlow helps to increase flow when you go and helps to stop it when you sleep. We challenge you to try your first bottle of GoFlow absolutely free and guarantee you'll be amazed by the results. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-1804. That's 1-800-675-1804. This is a limited time offer. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-1804. That's 1-800-675-1804.
Shower filters. We're introducing the best yet. The brand new ProPure ProMax high-performance shower filter. It removes and reduces over 200 contaminants while preserving a strong, powerful flow. This new 4-stage filtration process helps protect the largest organ in your body, your skin, from the unhealthy contaminants in the water. You can find more details on this amazing new filter and free shipping at InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139 to order your ProMax shower filter from ProPure today.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists, get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of Slingbow, a new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Winter has just begun, and are you already tired of being cold? How would you like to never be cold again? This is Dale with Fortress Clothing, and I'm here to tell you, you will never be cold again with Fortress. If you're tired of freezing your butt off, elk hunting, sitting in a tree stand deer hunting, winter camping, fishing, ice fishing, no longer fear the cold. If you snowmobile, ski, snowboard, get Fortress. Sledding with the kids, shoveling the walks, shopping, or if you or your spouse get cold feet at home, get Fortress. If you're stuck outside working in the cold or find yourself in an emergency situation, get our winter bug out bag and you will never be cold again. Fortress is the answer, so quit complaining and go to fortressclothing.com. It's a mid-layer garment that goes with anything you want to wear. Enter coupon code RADIO and get 20% off any item. Go now while we still have inventory. fortressclothing.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and we're going to get to the real solution. I just laid out the problem for you. I want to give you a solution, and it's not something as complicated or as difficult to achieve as a constitutional convention. Stay with me for just a moment. Before we do, I want to let you know about this sale that is ending today. This is the way we support InfoWars. We appreciate your support, and we try to help you with products, quality products that are going to support your health, as well as offering you sales from time to time. We have a sale today that is going to be ending today. It's 15% off both Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine and Super Male Vitality. That sale ends today. You can find those products at InfoWarsLife.com. 15% off of either of those. We have thousands of 5-star reviews at InfoWarsLife.com. 90% of those reviewers say they would recommend Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine or Super Male Vitality to their friends. And of course, I take them on a daily basis. It's something that is very important. Make sure you have your health, protect the health of your family, keep things in stock in case we have a situation where you can't get to a store, where the infrastructure breaks down. Keep a stock of things there. It helps you, it helps your family's health, and it helps to support our operation. Again, 15% off Survival Shield X2 and Super Male Vitality. That ends today at InfoWarsLife.com. Now, I laid out what's going on in this country, and it is really at the final stages. This has been going on for a very long time. We have a permanent entrenched bureaucracy that does precisely what they wish. They have each of them makes their own laws for their own little area of our life that they've carved out, whether it's the EPA or the ATF or the IRS. They make and write their own laws. Congress leaves them alone unless there's a huge outcry, and then they come in like knights on a white horse and say, we're going to do something about that. But otherwise, they're too busy raising money for themselves and enjoying the perks of power, quite frankly. And so they write their own laws. They have their own bureaucracy that goes out and accuses you of the laws that they wrote. Many times people don't really understand the complexity because, when they're writing 81,000 plus pages of new rules every year, we don't really keep up with that, do we? So it's very easy to get into deep trouble with them. And just as we see in Flint, Michigan, You have the EPA. For the first time that I can remember, I've seen a federal official actually even lose their job. And it was a pretty severe situation that happened in Flint, Michigan. Of course, nobody lost their job when they blew up that gold mine, when they were warned about it beforehand, when many people said, hey, you're doing this. Are you doing this so that you can create a super fund, so that you can grow your little empire fiefdom? Nevertheless, they did it. They blew up that gold mine. They dumped toxic metals into the Animas River that polluted 3 states and an Indian reservation. Nobody went to jail for that. Nobody even lost their job. That's the state of their tenure. Well, they can do that kind of pollution. They can turn a blind eye to what's going on in Flint, Michigan. Yet you've got a guy who's got 8 acres out, I think, what was it? It was Wyoming or Montana. He had 8 acres of land. He digs a little pond in his land. He has approval of state and local officials. The water's not going off of his property. It's for his livestock. It's a pond for his children to play in, and they're coming after him for $37,500 a day. Okay, that's how out of control our bureaucracy is. So what do we do? What do we do to pull this back? Well, let's talk about the gun control thing. Just as we had the Senator Barbara Mikulski saying, let's not clutter this up with any arguments about the Constitution. Okay, I don't want to hear that. Let's just make everybody safe and secure. Baloney, all right? So here's the New American. States step up efforts to nullify federal gun control edicts. And what are they talking about? They're not talking about creating a constitutional convention. The problem we have in Washington, let me state this as clearly as I can. We do not have a problem with the Constitution. We have a problem with criminal politicians in Washington. And if you get a shiny new amendment, they're going to ignore that too. The problem is not the law. The problem is the failure to try the Constitution. It's never been tried in my lifetime. Let's try it for once. It's not a perfect document. If we tried it, if we tried the Constitution and we said, yeah, you know, we're trying to be faithful to the Constitution. We got politicians who are obeying their oath in office. When we have politicians or federal employees who break the law, they are punished. If we get to that state sometime, then I would be willing to look at amendments to the Constitution to say, okay, fine, we're doing our best to obey the law with our federal officials. Let's see what we can do to make this work a little bit better. We're not even close to that. So I oppose giving this group of criminal thugs the ability to give themselves the authority to do whatever they want to, because we don't have a problem with the Constitution. We have a failure of will, not a lack of authority for the state governments to do something about this. And what can they do about this? Well, you've got the 9th and 10th Amendment that says clearly, if you haven't been given these powers specifically, you don't have them. So the rightful remedy is nullification. And as the New American points out, we've had bills filed in Virginia and South Carolina that would prohibit state agencies from joining with the federal government to enforce laws that they don't agree with, that the federal government does not have authority to do. That's the first thing we need to do. We need to nullify these laws, these encroachments on our freedom at the state legislature level. We need to understand that we have a tremendous amount of power as individuals to nullify at the jury level. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
Join us this Thursday, January 28th, as Infowars.com and Infowars Nightly News bring you another installment of Political Science Theater 3K.
If you have freedom of speech, like any free market, you do not use the government to shut down portions of it.
Join David Knight, Jakari Jackson, Leanne McAdoo, and the rest of the crew as we crash through the lies and propaganda in real time.
When we see the 8-year-old Boy Scout who can't fly a plane because he has the same name as some suspected terrorist, when he turns 16, he's not going to be able to get a driver's license. He's not going to be able to get a job. He's not going to be able to get a college loan.
Coverage starts at 7 p.m. Central on the Infowars Nightly News. You can find free streams at Infowars.com/show and the Alex Jones channel on YouTube. Join me along with the rest of the Infowars crew for the latest Republican presidential national debate.
Infowars.com, there's a war on for your mind.
For all of recorded history, civilizations around the world praised the health benefits of silver. At InfoWars Life, Our mission is to bring you the highest quality, purest, cleanest, effective colloidal silver on the market today for the lowest price available. Now, InfoWarsLife.com has taken colloidal silver to the next level using a cutting-edge technique that is free of toxic artificial additives. InfoWarsLife.com developed a silver bullet by closely working with one of the top silver manufacturing labs in the United States. We set out to bring you the very best at the lowest price. Find out more about the proprietary development of Silver Bullet at InfoWarsLife.com. In these times, it's essential to have high-quality colloidal silver on hand. No survival chest is complete without Silver Bullet. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com. Secure your Silver Bullet today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules. You will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the InfoWar.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, and joining me in this segment is Wayne Madsen. And as I look at this article, there was, I think this was on WND, a Democrat facing murder charges is sworn into office behind bars. And as I looked at this, I thought, is this what we're going to have with Hillary? Will she become the president, the first president behind bars? We've got Hillary for prison. Maybe that's a possibility. It ought to be. In this particular case, this is a suburb of Chicago. The guy's pulled over for a traffic stop. They charge him with marijuana possession, but they find $100,000 worth of cash, and then he's subsequently charged with a shooting death of Raimundo Camarillo Jr. in East Chicago. Now, while he's awaiting, he's indicted, he's in jail. And he's sworn into office. He was reelected by his Democrat constituency. Wayne Madsen, is this what we're going to see with Hillary Clinton?
No, I think we're seeing it across the board with the some of the current presidential candidates. You know, the other thing, you know, it's very serious if she was putting sensitive, compartmented information on a BlackBerry. That would be. Well, I mean, I recall when I was in the Navy, we had some situations where the computer messed up and SCI, what they call sensitive compartmented information, wound up on the other side, the not above top secret side of the house. And it was a huge thing, and there had to be special inspections, and admirals were briefed, and presidents were briefed, and
well, of course, we had an NSA whistleblower. Thomas Drake was indicted. They tried to put him in prison for having unclassified documents on his computer. Just a couple of them. Of course, she's got some of the most sensitive stuff in the world, and as he pointed out, this is somebody who's Secretary of State. She is a prime target for all kinds of people to examine her intelligence, and she's putting them on a private home-based email server. And when Richard Reeves talked to her and said, well, we had this report about your email stuff, this stuff just keeps rolling out, even though she continues to deny it. We had yet another one come out yesterday after we'd been told that she was instructing people to remove the classification headings on their stuff so they could fax it and so forth. And we have the emails where she's instructing people to do that. Now we've got yet another one coming out where she's telling people, cut and paste the classified information so you can avoid the restrictions that we have in place.
Yeah, it's apparently what she had that was SCI, special compartmented information, was imagery intelligence from drone aircraft. So yeah, that's imagery. That's sensitive sources and methods, so that would be protected at a very high level. I really think that she's hemorrhaging bad right now, and the blood is in the water, and that's why we hear it's not Bloomberg. Michael Bloomberg isn't talking about running for president because he's afraid she's not going to be on the ticket. It's going to be Sanders. He knows that there's going to be an opening probably. She's going to probably have to pull her name out of the nomination. And then they've got Joe Biden sitting there as well, and he's been making people have been making noise for him as a potential person to step in. So,
and of course, when we look at Bloomberg, he said, we're going to make our decision in March. Well, by March, what they'll know is several things. First of all, they'll have a better idea as to whether or not they're actually going to move forward with prosecution on Hillary. But they'll also be able to look at these beginning primaries and caucuses. You know, we've got Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina. And then the very beginning of March, we have a massive number of primaries and caucuses that are about half of the country. And those are winner-take-all type of things. So things are going to fall into place pretty quickly at that point. And then he's got a lot of time to get on as an independent, and he has the money to do it. He's going to need about 1 million signatures, but of course that's going to be a drop in the bucket to him. He can get hired. He can hire paid petitioners to do that. And he has a deadline in most of the states of August or September to get on the ballot as an independent candidate throughout most of the country.
Yeah, you know, and this election year is not going to favor the incumbent party in the White House. It rarely does. So all attention is going to be on the Republican candidate and that nomination process. I think she's in trouble anyway with Bernie Sanders. Sanders is surging. I mean, there'll be an attempt to try to ease him out of the, and they're going to have, I'm not going to say they're going to have Chicago 68, the Democratic convention where they actually had fights break out on the floor of the convention hall.
Inside and outside, right?
It's going to be nasty, and it's going to be one heck of a convention in Philadelphia.
Yeah, you know, I'm interested to see what you think about Tom DeLay. The inside story about him saying that the FBI is ready to indict. He says sources that he's talked to say that they want to indict. If the Attorney General does not move forward with this, they're willing to go public. What do you make about that?
I'm a little skeptical because nobody has access to grand jury information. We don't even know if this is before a grand jury. You have to have a grand jury to indict. So that stuff is usually kept. I covered many of these cases during grand jury hearings at the federal courthouse in Washington, D.C., and during the Scooter Libby trial, for example. And it was almost impossible. You couldn't get any leaks out of the grand jury. We knew the grand jury was there meeting, but it's impossible to get any information. That stuff is really because you could declare mistrials could be declared, cases that could be dropped if any of that stuff leaked out.
You know, it's interesting, the same day that came out, which was yesterday, that came out on Newsmax, there was a story from the Washington Post talking about how David Petraeus avoided felony charges and possible prison time. So here you have the leftist establishment saying, you know, well, this is what happened with David Petraeus, and it was a good thing. And they do talk about that, Wayne. They do talk about the process that went on in the back rooms. They said that the people who had investigated this pitched it to Attorney General Eric Holder at the time, FBI Director James Comey. They listened as prosecutors did a mock run-through of the government's case, so forth and so on. So what the Washington Post is doing is laying out a plan here saying, yeah, you know, remember they let David Petraeus off, so maybe we shouldn't be so hard on Hillary.
Yeah, well, the thing is about Petraeus, a former head of the CIA, probably what happened there is his attorneys were threatened to graymail the prosecutors, the Justice Department. Graymail means, look, we know a lot of things because he was the CIA guy and he knew everything.
Yeah.
Oliver North did this. It's been done, and it's been done several other times. And Petraeus isn't the first guy to. Oh, Eric Prince, the guy from Blackwater, did it too, and of course they never prosecuted him either.
Sure, yeah. Oh, don't you think that Hillary's got a lot of gray mail? It's not just the emails that she's got on her servers. She's got a lot of gray mail that she can do on people. She could be
gray mailing them through her if she's got attorneys lined up, and I doubt it's even that far. But if it comes to that, I'm sure there'll be a lot of gray mailing going on because she, again, knows a lot about what's been going on.
So Hillary has really kind of three things going on. She's got a significant challenge from Bernie Sanders. She's got a health challenge, like we saw yesterday on the Drudge Report. That was interesting to watch that video, about a full minute, and she's coughing, can't get her breath, and even at the end of the minute, when that clip stopped, she still wasn't able to talk, and that's not the first time that's happened. No. And then she's got this situation with these legal issues that are there, which I think, as you point out, she's going to be able to handle that. She's got a lot of people that she can blackmail, gray mail, or otherwise threaten. Of course, we have a long list of people that have come up against the Clintons and are no longer with us. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on the Republican side. And when I look at this authorization for the use of military force, as one senator said, it is a international martial law. I find it interesting that one of the 4 people who signed on to this thing that was dropped was, and joining us now is Alex Jones. Hey, Alex, do you want to jump in?
Keep going. I don't want to interrupt. I'm just in the other room watching you guys and our great correspondent, Wayne Madsen, and I'm going to spend here 2 minutes. I'm going to leave. I just wanted to point out that it just hit me that we've been so conditioned, myself included, by successive approximation, that now Ron Paul and a U.S. senator as well, Republican and Democrat, come out and say, yeah, no, this is basically the biggest blank check in history. It's worldwide military martial law. That senator said that last Thursday. We didn't know till Friday. I didn't know the senator had said anything.
I didn't either.
Until Sunday. No, until last night, Monday night. InfoWars didn't know some of the biggest, worst legislation ever was going on. A senator warned, and there was no media until our listeners contacted us on Friday and said, have you seen this legislation that is being pushed by the leadership and set to pass? So it's such a big deal that we've gotten to the point where we're talking about tyranny coming. They do it incrementally. We're not saying this will be martial law, troops in the streets tomorrow. It's just putting it in, showing they're building towards it. We need to make this a big issue. And we've done that on other issues, but I almost start hyperventilating over this because it's so dangerous, such a big deal. And then in closing, I'm going to let you go back to Wayne Madsen. I'm just going to inject this here because I didn't do a good job of this today. And I was just meeting with the accountants 15 minutes ago before I went back in my office and had the TV radio show on. I was listening to you and Wayne Madsen, talk about these issues. We're doing okay compared to Glenn Beck, who's in trouble, and a lot of other media falling apart. We can stay the size we are, but to send reporters out, to really be able to cover this, to be able to maybe get a few more people to really aggressively do what we can do, we need to sell a lot of product. Plus, I didn't point out one of our biggest sales ever is ending today, that we extended until today because people wanted us to, on the Nascent Iodine, 15% off, the Good Halogen, the Super Male Vitality, Super Female Vitality, and a lot of other things. Free shipping on all orders about $50. That's a new special that we're just going to keep in place for a while. And so great products and a lot of great ways for people to support the broadcast. Deep cleanse with zeolites and Shilajit and so much more. Just an amazing deep cleanse. Folks, try it. See what it does for yourself. The Oxy powder, so you
get free shipping on everything over $50?
Absolutely. That's the new info. Yeah. And the thing is, I skipped breaks today. I didn't hardly plug on my own show today. And we're having meetings. They say, listen, the economy's falling apart. Everything's going to hell. You are able to fund us with your great listeners. I'm sitting there talking to the accountant, but you've got to plug, and everybody's got to promote it, and everybody's got to know the specials, because if we don't do that, I'm going to stop. In fact, I'm going to say right now, even when a Donald Trump's on or a huge guest, nobody else in radio skips breaks like I do. It just has to stop. It has to stop. It's me that's doing it. This is my problem I'm having, so I'm just being honest about it on air, that we're so committed to fighting tyranny, we forget to resupply sometimes. And I want the listeners to know, it's up to you to spread the word. You're doing it. But we're victims of our own success with our own video stream. 16 million people in a month tuned into that, which is great. We have to have our own platform. People say, don't use YouTube, have your own platform. Well, we do have our own platform. It's in higher res than, Facebook mentions and stuff, but it's a win-win. We didn't even cut ads to run on that video. It's mainly network ads we don't get paid for. It's like we don't even think to put a video feed out and actually have our own ads on it. So we've dominated. Here's one last thing. I'm not attacking Glenn Beck. I'm not an infighter. For 3 years, we've had political science theater here. Model it for Mystery Science Theater on election night and on State of the Unions. They now started it last week, the last debate, and call it Political Science Theater and literally copy us with graphics, the name, word for word. And I have to be careful and come out and say, hey, he's taking our stuff, because he will claim that's his and come after us, because it's like a body snatcher. They don't just put the pod next to you and then a creature pops out that looks like you. They get rid of the body. And so I can't let him get rid of me and steal my identity. I was told by insiders, whenever he was at CNN and Fox, he would have 5 people listening to every word I said, writing scripts, but then he's an actor. He's all into thespian. That's why he takes acting lessons. He is an actor. He used to be a big liberal, pro-abortion, anti-gun globalist. And I'm not attacking him. The guy's sinking himself. I wanted to be allies with him. But I mean, I just cannot sit there, and I want Wayne to respond to this, I'm going, and literally watch a guy that makes hundreds of millions of dollars and spends so much of it, he can't even operate, basically, is what I've been told by TV networks and others, that he's trying to get rid of his channel. Maybe that's not true, but I've been told that by 2 different TV networks and well, some other big insiders, huge insiders, obviously, about as big as it gets. So I don't want to fight with Beck. I want him to stay around. But he sees it as, I can't be here for him to exist. And Beck, we're all fighting, I thought, for the same reason. But they actually kept telling me, hey, they have the same, and I saw it, they just showed it to me, and it is literally what we do, the same name. Now the Young Turks are copying us. The greatest form of flattery, of sincerity is imitation. That's fine. Young Turks didn't call it political science theater.
Yeah.
Okay? So I just have to say, we are the Patriots. We were here first. I've been doing this 21 years. I'm not territorial. Beck, I hope, becomes just like me. Love him to death. Does a lot of good work, okay? I just don't want to lay down and go to sleep next to the green pod. I'm okay? You can have your own shape. You can be your own creature. You can even make yourself look just like me. And I'm going to be nice because I could probably win some legal stuff over this stuff. I think I better trademark that or they'll take it and do it to me. I mean, it's really getting weird. So I'm Alex Jones in Austin, Texas, not Alex Jones in Dallas that calls himself Glenn Beck. Okay, I'm not an actor. I don't have. I know that's why X-Files based the new character on me. It's an authentic character. InfoWars is their new script. It was Human Animal Chimeras last night. That's Chris Carter. That's fine. Chris Carter gave us credit and didn't because he understands plagiarism. Yeah. Okay, he's not a plagiarist. Okay, so Infowars.com, X2. Incredible game changer. Just try it, folks. Fund the operation. Super Male Vitality. It ends tonight. Sign up for the free newsletter. And that's the InfoWars Insider. Infowars.com/newsletter. Support us. We're hitting major zeitgeist with our great reporters. Back to Wayne Madsen and WayneMadsenReport.com. And back to David Knight. Sorry for crashing in.
No problem, Alex. And what he was talking about, Wayne, is the fact that it was the end of last week that we saw this on Defense One, which is really kind of a trade magazine. And so it's kind of a trade publication for the defense industry. And they kind of just mentioned that they've got this authorization for the use of military force. Hey, there might be some more profit coming down the line. Or what? From that angle. They weren't coming at it from the fact that, hey, this is international martial law. And as Alex pointed out, we immediately saw that. He used that term. He didn't know that the senator had already said that. And to his credit, we've got a Democrat senator who says the same thing. At the same time, Ron Paul is saying the same thing. So we've got some good people in Washington. But for the most part, we've got people who are trying to push this thing through without any supervision, without any oversight. We had 4 people, Republicans, sign on with Mitch McConnell as he introduces this on the eve of Snowmageddon. Of course, one of those is Lindsey Graham. Another one, interestingly enough, is Joni Ernst. Now, she's a senator in Iowa.
Right.
And she has done everything she can to endorse Marco Rubio without officially endorsing him, in the same way that Grassley has done everything he can to endorse Donald Trump without officially endorsing him.
Right, right. And Governor Branstad, I think, is probably in the tank for probably Rubio. It's not certain. He doesn't like Cruz.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't like Cruz. He dis-endorsed Cruz, but he didn't officially endorse anybody else.
He doesn't like Trump either, so he's going to go to one of the others. Who knows who it'll be? It could be Rubio, of course. He's got a big problem now, and this reminds me so much of what I discovered about Barack Obama. Unfortunately, it was after he got inaugurated as president. Rubio's got a huge possible gay prostitution issue from his past in Miami.
Well, what I find interesting is this connection with Joni Ernst. The fact that Rubio was the only Republican who endorsed her during her primary, gave her nearly $250,000 from his PAC to help her win. And, of course, she is somebody who is firmly in the neocon war party. We can see that with her endorsement of this international declaration of martial law and her connections to Marco Rubio. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Wayne Madsen.
My name is Don Wiskin, and at 42 years old, I suffered a massive heart attack and was told I'd be on disability for the rest of my life. What did I do? I created Extendivite, a garlic and cayenne mix of 7 herbs which rebuilt my heart and gave me back my life. For over 17 years now, I have made this formula available to you so you don't have to suffer the same thing I did. Clean your blocked arteries and strengthen your heart and boost your natural immune system. I'm 60 years old now, and I still work every day. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822, or visit heartdrop.com. Extendivite is only $69.95 for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Chronic inflammation is now known to block your ability to repair and compromises your immune system, making you more vulnerable to all diseases. Since poor diet, injuries, or stress are all contributing factors, many people suffer from inflammation. Your body's #1 means of neutralizing inflammation and the pain that it may be causing is glutathione. Glutathione is the body's #1 peptide to neutralize free radicals and thus stop inflammation.
Hi, my name is Jason. I'm 44 years old. For 10 years, I had been suffering from chronic pain in my abdomen and groin that radiated down into my feet. After 3 weeks on One World Way, the pain in my feet reduced by 50%, and the overall pain in my body reduced significantly as well. I ran out of One World Way, and the pain returned. I got another container, and again, after 3 weeks, the pain reduced significantly throughout my body. I'd highly recommend One World Way to anyone dealing with chronic pain due to inflammation.
Call 888-988-3325 or visit oneworldway.com. That's oneworld, WHEY.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight, your host, and joining me is Wayne Madsen. We're going to get back to what's going on with the political class. We've looked at Hillary Clinton, the fact that the establishment is throwing out articles about how David Petraeus avoided felony charges. That's coming from the Washington Post. Perhaps they're trying to prepare us for the disappointment that they're not going to prosecute Hillary Clinton. But she's got a lot of other problems. She's got a Bernie Sanders problem. She's got a perhaps a health problem. And speaking of health problems, make sure you don't get sick like Hillary. We've got a special going on that ends today. Survival Shield X2 Nascent Iodine. We have Super Male, Female Vitality. All those 15% off at InfoWarsLife.com. That sale ends today. We have another sale, as Alex mentioned. If you buy $50 or more, you get free shipping. That is a huge savings, and it's something to think about when you just see what happened throughout the Northeast. We've got people who still cannot move about in their areas after 4 days of snow. They can't get out and around. Many times this is happening, and I've seen it myself, happen in Buffalo, New York, of all places, where people got snowbound for several days there with all the snow equipment that they have there. So sometimes even the very best intentions of a government can't deliver. And so you need to be able to take care of yourself, take care of your health. 15% off Survival Shield X2, Super Male Vitality. That ends today at InfoWarsLife.com, and $50 or more on an order, and you get free shipping. Now, Wayne, as we were talking about this with Marco Rubio, and I think it's real key for people to understand, and I think people are especially our listeners, understand that Rubio, Jeb, Chris Christie, they're the establishment wing. They're the people who are pushing for the national security state. They want war everywhere. They want to spy on us here at home. These are the people who want international martial law. They want it against us. And the only good news I see is that people are not buying it, certainly not in the GOP and not in the Democrat Party either. I mean, Hillary Clinton, who is a stronger believer in that part of the party, is suffering with Bernie Sanders. When we look at Marco Rubio and Jeb Bush combined, they are well under Donald Trump in their home state. We got the former governor of Florida at only 14.5%. I'm sorry, he's at 9%, and Rubio is at 14.5%. So they're at about 24% combined. And Trump is at 39%. So he's beating them together. And so that's what I'm concerned about. When I see people like this new freshman senator, Joni Ernst, who's now outed herself as part of the Lindsey Graham, John McCain neocon wing with the support of international martial law, with her support of Marco Rubio, that's what I think we really need to keep in mind.
Yeah, and the stuff that's coming out about Rubio now, remember Jeb Bush said he was going to go really hard on Rubio. He used to be his friend, and this was a mentor relationship. So the stuff that came out in the Washington Post yesterday about his so-called crime spree, being arrested in 1990 in a park in Miami, Alice Wainwright Park, which was a known pickup place for gay guys to pick up young guys, and he was arrested with his friend in a car after closing hours at the park, drinking beer. It looks like maybe that was plea bargained down because there was something else going on there. This friend of his was later, and they roomed together after high school. I know people roomed together in college, but after graduating from high school, rooming together, this almost sounds like another Obama situation. So anyway, Rubio's friend opens up a gay porn business where they're filming Latinos and black guys at a place called Cocoa House in Miami.
Well, it sounds like he's going to be right at home in Rome on the Potomac in Washington.
Cocoa House to the White House.
Exactly.
Like that, Rubio?
I tell you what, that is the state of our country, unfortunately, and that's the problem. That's what I said earlier when I said we don't need a constitutional convention until we've tried it. Until we get the criminals in Washington out. There's another example of that. Thank you so much for joining us, Wayne Madsen. Join us tonight for the InfoWars Nightly News, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
You are listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Hey everyone, pharmacist Ben Fuchs here, host of The Bright Side, and as many of you know, I'm on a mission to help Americans get and stay healthy. You've all heard the shocking statistics. Despite spending trillions of dollars in healthcare, nearly $10,000 per man, woman, and child in this country, obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, and autoimmune illnesses are rampant. 1 out of 3 or 4 people is dealing with some kind of health challenge, and everyone knows at least one person with a degenerative disease. If you are dealing with a health challenge, or if you're healthy and want to maintain your vigor and longevity, and you're looking for a convenient, easy way to incorporate nutritional raw materials into your day-to-day lives to guarantee that your body is getting the fundamental nutrients, the 90 essential vitamins, minerals, fats, and amino acids it needs to do its healing work, you need to check out InfoWarsTeam.com. Give your body the gift of good nutrition. Head over to InfoWarsTeam.com. Your body will be very grateful.
On the web at InfoWarsTeam.com. That's InfoWarsTeam.com. You're listening to The Alex Jones